Hey everyone, welcome to this video on SEO full course. Today we'll begin this full course video with what is SEO and how SEO works. Then we will be looking at a bunch of on-page and off-page elements. After this, we will learn how to analyze and measure website metrics using Google Analytics tool. We will also see how to use Google Tag Manager. Then we will discuss some of the important techniques to rank number 1 on Google and YouTube. Simple ways to increase website traffic, basic knowledge of SEO tools, and finally we will conclude this video by discussing the important tips and tricks of SEO. For this training, with me I have our experienced AWS specialist Rob and Rahul. Together we will take you through the various topics of SEO. So let's start with an exciting video on SEO full course. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to never miss an update from Simplilearn.
Rachel is a baker who runs her own bakery. To expand her business, she decided to create an online presence by first setting up a blog. She began posting on her blog regularly. However, even after regularly posting on the blog, there were barely any visitors showing up. Deciding not to give up, Rachel began searching for a solution on the internet. That's when she came across SEO, or search engine optimization, a term she's never heard before. So, let's take a journey together and help her learn about SEO. Search engine optimization is a method that could improve the quality and quantity of the audience coming to Rachel's website from search engines. It could increase brand awareness, attract local customers, and build credibility and trust. And all of this is possible without having to spend a single penny. To bring visitors to her website, Rachel would have to take advantage of the two types of SEO, on-page and off-page SEO. Rachel first decides to tackle on-page SEO and get that sorted. On-page SEO involved Rachel optimizing her website, both in terms of content and the technical aspects, including the HTML source code, schema, meta tags, and more. She started off by using tools like Google AdWords, Ahrefs, and SEMrush to identify popular search terms associated with the recipes she planned to publish on her blog. She began to look for search terms related to the broader area of baking, cooking, and related topics. Once she found these search terms, she began to incorporate them into her recipes. She started off by providing an introduction to the recipe. With this, she could provide an engaging beginning to her story, like how the dish reminded her of her childhood, and enabled her to naturally include the search terms into the blog. She also included these keywords in the actual recipe as well. Additionally, she added pictures, videos, time lapses, and more to increase credibility and engagement for her content, and subsequently persuading search engines to show her content to more people. After this, she moved to the website meta content that search engines display when her blog appears in search results. She optimized the meta tags, alt tags, header tags, and more. This completed the on-page aspect of SEO. Thanks to this, she saw a significant increase in the number of visitors coming to her page. Having done all she could on her webpage, she now decides to explore what could be done off-page to improve her page's visibility on search engines. Off-page SEO involved Rachel doing things outside her site page to help increase its search engine rankings. Making optimizations outside the site would improve the site's popularity, relevance, trustworthiness, and authority. This is possible with the help of reputable websites vouching for your content with backlinks, social media marketing, guest blogging, linked, unlinked brand mentions, influencer marketing, and much more. Rachel also understood that for her content to reach people, she would have to promote it on social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as niche platforms like Quora, Reddit, and Medium. These could help her achieve greater reach for her website by sending stronger social signals to search engines, leading to the page being shown as highly relevant for related searches and audiences. And even after understanding and implementing all of this, Rachel had just scratched the surface of what was possible with SEO. Before we find out what she did next, let's have a look at a quiz. Which of the following is the most effective way to improve off-page SEO? 1. Creating plenty of web pages of a content. 2. Getting backlinks from relevant and authoritative sites. 3. Acquiring backlinks through link buying. 4. None of the above. Let us know your answer in the comments section below for a chance to win an Amazon voucher. Now, let's go back to Rachel. Rachel decided to take up Simplilearn's digital marketing certification. With classes covering just about everything she needed to know about SEO, it was only a matter of time before Rachel began to implement her learnings on her website and see a massive uptick in the number of viewers coming to her website. In time, she could even earn money off the site by setting up an online shop. And with that, we've covered an introduction to the concepts of SEO.
Welcome, my name is Rob Sanders. I'm a course instructor at Simplilearn. Today we're going to talk about why you would want to rank using SEO. And SEO is search engine optimization, also known as organic search. You also may hear us say organic listings. But we're going to talk a little bit about why you'd want to rank your website in organic search. Okay, what is search engine optimization? Then we're going to follow that up with how does Google rank websites? So why does it rank one website over another? And how do we get our website to rank number one? Then we're going to talk about the different types of SEO or search engine optimization techniques so you can get your website ranked number one. And then we're going to finish that off with the do's and don'ts of SEO. So let's get right to it and talk about why SEO. So we're going to use a basic example, and let's just say you have a blog. You're a food blogger, you're passionate about food, and your niche is ice cream. And let's just say you have a lot of ice cream recipes. You want to get traffic to your blog. You want people to read your blog. And you're curious, why am I not ranking for my blog? Why, when people type in ice cream recipes and say Google, my blog posts don't appear at the top of organic rankings? And there's a number of reasons why you wouldn't be ranked for your blog post or your ice cream recipes. And the main reason would be your competitors. So there could be somebody else out there who is also passionate about ice cream and has been blogging longer than you. And they have more content and more blog posts and more pages for Google to rank. So that's usually the number one reason. The other reason is improper usage of keywords. And we're going to talk a little bit, or it's actually a lot more about, keyword usage in your content. So what kind of keywords do you want to rank for? That's really what we're talking about when we talk about usage of keywords. What keywords do you want to rank for, and how do we work those keywords into the content? Another reason is poor link building practices. And really that means are other blog posts or other websites linking to you? Also, are you linking to other pages on your website? And so it's all about link building. And with link building, it's internal linking. So are we linking from one blog post to another? And it's external linking. Are other websites of high quality linking to us? And so that's what we talk about when we talk about link building. And then another reason is web page load time. So you could be running your blog post on, say, WordPress, for example, and your blog post isn't loading fast enough. Well, if you look at it this way, think about it. If you're Google, would you really want to rank a website or blog post in this example number one on Google rankings if that particular page loaded very slow? No, you wouldn't, because when somebody clicked on that link in organic search and went to your website, they're going to have a bad experience because the page is going to load slow. So Google doesn't want their users to have a bad experience. You don't want your users to have a bad experience. And so that's why web page load time is a critical factor for ranking. So we need to make sure that our web pages load fast. And then your user experience is not good enough. So Google, again, based on my example about the web page load time, Google wants people to have a good experience when they go from their search engine to your website. And there's a lot at play there, specifically web page load time, but also, Google doesn't want any spam content. Google doesn't want any pop-ups or overbearing ads on the web page. They want people who are searching for something in particular, let's just say ice cream recipes, and they want to find a relevant website that has ice cream recipes. They want to be able to click on that link and read some good content about ice cream recipes. It's that simple. And that's really what Google's trying to create in their environment. And that's you as an end user, as a website owner, you want your users to have a good experience. And then last but not least, your website is de-indexed by mistake. And really what we mean is de-indexed is Google needs to be able to index all the pages on your website. So if you have a blog with 100 recipes, you want Google to have access to all 100 recipes. So we're going to talk a little bit later about how to get your pages ranked or indexed on Google organic search. So let's move on to what is SEO. So sticking with our ice cream blog theme, really SEO, search engine optimization, really is the practice of increasing your pages that Google has indexed up the rankings. So the end result is we want all our pages to be ranked number one for particular keywords. So if you want to be ranked for ice cream recipes, well, there's certain things you need to do. So that's generally how it works. We need to apply search engine optimization to increase a page for a keyword we want to be found for. So let me give you an example. So let's just say there's 100 students that participated in an essay competition. And so the competition in this particular case is evaluated on the basis of, is the content relevant? Are they using suitable titles for their essay? Do they have structure when they're participating in this essay or talking about the essay? And do they have a suitable synopsis? And is the content neat and readable? These seem all logical for an essay competition. Well, guess what? They seem logical for SEO because that's exactly how SEO works. It's exactly all those points I just mentioned about structure, logic, readability, organization, title. All those things are what's important in SEO. And so we need relevant content. We need titles for our pages. Google needs to be able to see structure. We need to have synopsis of what the page is about, and that's called the meta description. And then again, the content needs to be readable, and that's important. And so in order to be readable, again, we're going to talk more about site speed because site speed's important. Okay. And when we talk about responsive design, when I say responsive design, that means your site, your page needs to load both on desktop and also on mobile. And so all these things are important. Just like an essay competition, Google is the judge, and they need to be able to determine what page is best to rank number one, number two, number three, etc. on Google search. And then link building. Remember I mentioned link building a moment ago? Well, link building internally and externally also plays a vital role. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the class when we talk about off-page SEO. How does Google rank website? And basically, Google follows 3 basic steps to rank a website. They need to crawl your website. They need to take what they crawl back to their servers. And when they take it back to their servers, your web pages, they need to have them available for indexing. So when somebody actually types in a keyword into google.com, it'll be available to be found on organic search. So that's what indexing is all about. And then Google's job when somebody does type in a search query is to basically rank those pages that they've indexed from number 1 to infinity, depending on how many pages are relevant to that search query. So really it's about crawling, indexing, and ranking. So crawling is simply a process done by which Google has bots. And what these bots do is they go to your web server and they're going to crawl every page that they can find. And how do they find these pages? Well, they basically follow links. You might have heard the term spidering, but that's what they call search engine spidering. So basically what Google's doing is they're building a web, so to speak, all the links that they're following. And so when they can follow all these links on your website, they're going to be able to crawl them. And when they crawl them, basically they're going to take that content and store it on their servers so it's available in their index. So based on this method, Google finds out which websites have relevant content and which ones don't based on certain keywords that are typed into Google. Because if they can't crawl your website, you're not going to be found. And if you can't be found, then you're not going to show up for relevant keywords. So we need to make sure your site's available to be crawled. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay, but let's show you an example. So let's just go to Google search. And if I type in the keyword simply learn, okay, I could see I have 1,010,000 results. Okay, and that's how many results are showing up for simply learn. Okay, now they may not all be simply learn pages, but nonetheless, simply learned is ranked number 1 here organically. And there are 1,010,000 pages related to the keyword simply learn. Now, when it comes to organic search, We don't want to get it confused with paid search. So anytime you see paid search, you're going to see something that says ad next to it. Okay, so we could see that there are paid ads here, but when it comes to organic search, those are generally below paid ads. And so that's where Google counts the 1,010,000 results. And so that's the whole idea behind crawling and indexing. Google's able to crawl Simply Learn's website, and based on all the pages that they gather, they're going to make those pages available in organic search. So if you type in a keyword and your web page is not available for indexing, then you're never going to show up for that keyword. So that's why it's important to make sure your website is available for crawling and indexing. And so when a user types a query on Google search, the most relevant websites that are in Google's index are going to appear in the search results. So in the example I gave with Simply Learn, well, Simply Learn is the brand name of the company Simply Learn. So there's a lot of relevancy there. So that's why you see Simply Learn show up here organically, number one. Like we mentioned about what is SEO and why SEO, we talked about that user experience. So there's a lot of factors that go into ranking, relevancy being one of them. So in the Simply Learn example, Simply Learn is relevant to a lot of the Simply Learn pages because that's who they are, Simply Learn. However, Simply Learn also needs to make sure that, for their pages, the page load time is fast, meaning these pages load very fast for the end user. And Google also takes into account other factors, like how long someone is staying on a website. Or are they bouncing, meaning are they going to one page that they land on and then leaving the website? Okay, and so the user experience is very, very important. There are other factors also like language and location. And so, for example, location, if you do a search, say in India, the results are going to be a little bit different than, say, the results in the United States. Why? Because Google is indexing as many web pages as they can find. So if somebody's doing a search in India, their results may be a little bit different than the results show up in the US because Google has different bots. And these bots are crawling different pages at different times. And so Google's index is updating continuously, but it's not real-time syncing. So if you do a search in India, you may not see exactly the same thing because both search engines, the Google in India and the Google in the US, may not be exactly synced up. So an example would be, if you're looking for cafe. So if you search a cafe in, say, San Francisco, you're going to see different results. Now, if you do a search for cafes in Mumbai, you're going to see different results. There's going to be local search here at the top. There may be some paid search, but again, you may see different results because one, location, but two, Google's search engines in India and United States, google.com, aren't exactly synced up exactly at the same exact time you do that search. So location is important, language is important, and relevancy is important, along with user experience. So all those are important factors in how Google ranks websites. Okay, so we're going to talk about the types of SEO now. So if we want to rank for a particular keyword on Google, we're going to have to apply search engine optimization. And so there's two strategies to search engine optimization: on-page SEO and off-page SEO. So first, we're going to talk about on-page SEO. So on-page SEO is nothing more than optimizing your own website. And so when we say optimizing your own website, there's certain elements on your website and on your web pages that we need to take into account. And so some of those elements are headers, meta descriptions, title tags, linking. So all of those elements are something we can control as an end user who wants to rank our web page and our website on Google. And before we do anything with our website, the first thing we need to do is understand what keywords we want to rank for. In order to understand what keywords we want to rank for, we need to do keyword research. And if you do anything in SEO, keyword research is the most important activity. That's the most important thing you can do for SEO. And why do I say it's the most important? Because you need to understand, if you choose a keyword that you want to rank for, you need to understand how much traffic you're going to get from that keyword if you're ranked organically, say number 1 on Google. So how much traffic will you get if you're ranked number 1 on Google? So you need to understand what the volume is. And then number 2, we need to understand what the competition is for that keyword that you want to rank for. So if you choose a keyword and there's not much competition for it, then chances are you can rank for that keyword for a web page on your website quicker than, say, a keyword that has a lot of competition. So we need to understand those 2 basic factors, volume and competition, before we choose a keyword. And it's simply the practice of going through the motions of getting your volume and getting your competition data so you can choose the keywords you want. And then once you choose the keywords you want, then you can go and apply on-page SEO. You can change the title tag, the meta descriptions, the headers. All those elements can be changed, but first you need to choose your keywords. And so again, the primary components we're looking for are how much traffic you can get, or the search volume, how much competition there is for that keyword, and of course, relevancy. Okay, you need to be able to choose a keyword that's relevant to the web page you're trying to rank for. And so let me show you an example of how to go through this. So the first thing we want to do is we want to use a tool. And the tool I would recommend is Google Keyword Planner. And why do I choose Google Keyword Planner? Because if we're trying to rank on Google.com or Google search engine, we want to be able to get the data right from the source. So Google's going to be able to give us information about how much volume a keyword has and how much competition it has. So let me show you an example. So if I want to use Google's Keyword Planner and I want to rank for the keyword how to become a digital marketing specialist, then I'm going to type that keyword into Google's Keyword Planner. And what Google's going to do is they're going to give me some trends about how much volume this particular keyword gets over the course of a year. And so for that particular keyword, I can see that there are trends that appear for both desktop and mobile. So mobile is important because people start their search process a lot of times on their mobile device. So we want to be able to get data from mobile as well as desktop. And so we could see a trend here that for each particular month, over the last 12 months, we can see how much volume this particular keyword, how to become a digital marketing specialist, gets per month. And so on average, over the past 12 months, I could see how to become a digital marketing specialist averages 30 searches a month. And this is on Google.com. And so Google gives us the volume. What they also give us is the competition. And so here I can see Google says for that particular keyword, the competition is medium. And so in the Google's Keyword Planner, what they also do is give me other relevant keywords that I might think about optimizing for. Because you don't want to optimize for just one keyword. So how to become a digital marketing specialist, they're going to also offer up other types of keywords that are relevant. So just digital marketing specialist, social media marketing specialist. So for those keywords, I can see the volume. So for example, digital marketing specialist, I can see the average volume is 1,000 per month on average over the last 12 months. I can also see the competition is medium. But for some other keywords, I can see the search volume being high, like digital marketing course at 2,900 per month, but also the competition is high. And so what I would recommend as a best practice is to collect all your relevant keywords, okay? And put all your relevant keywords in a spreadsheet. And when you put all these relevant keywords in a spreadsheet, you want to get the data on those keywords. And the data I'm referring to is the volume and competition. So in this case, we have volume from Google Planner, Google's Keyword Planner, and I have competition from Google's Keyword Planner. And so if I go into a spreadsheet and I put all that information in here, I'm going to be able to see the volume and competition. And so that's important. However, one thing to note here is that Google's Keyword Planner, if I go back, just gives us low, medium, and high. And if I want to compare numbers to numbers, maybe I want to be able to get exactly the competition number for the keyword, how to become a digital marketing specialist. What I can do is go into Google and I can type in that keyword. So if I type in the keyword, how to become a digital marketing specialist, I can see there's 76 million results. So I could see 76 million results, 76.1 actually, and for the keyword, how to become a digital marketing specialist. Now that's a whole lot of results for this particular keyword, especially when the volume is only 30 per month on average. And so what I want to do is get a more clear picture of the competition. And so what you could actually do is type in the syntax all in title and then colon and then your keyword, how to become a digital marketing specialist. And when I do that, I get a different result. Here I can see only 136 listings for how to become a digital marketing specialist. But that's not just 136, that's 136 with that particular keyword that we want to rank for in the title tag. Okay, so the title tag is what you see when you type in a keyword or search query in Google search, and the title tag is what you see at the top of every search result. And so now I can see I typed in how to become a digital marketing specialist with the all in title syntax. And now I can see every listing, every one of these 136 results have that particular keyword in it. So I could see every one of them, how to become a digital marketing specialist. And why is that important? Because now that tells me I only need to climb over 136 listings to rank for that keyword, how to become a digital marketing specialist. And so the idea here is you want to get your volume from Google's keyword planner, but you want to get your competition from Google search. And again, that's simply typing in the syntax, all in title, and then your keyword. In this example, how to become a digital marketing specialist. Once you get those two numbers, you're going to plug them in to your spreadsheet. And then once you do that for a number of different keyword queries, and these keyword queries, again, have to be relevant. Once you do that, then you can go in and pick the keywords you want to optimize for. And that's important because, again, if you're not sure about a keyword, then you want to do the keyword research so you can be sure of how much traffic you can get and how much competition there is. Those are three important factors in starting the process for on-page SEO. So again, you want to create content for, say, a keyword like digital marketing. But digital marketing may seem a little bit broad. So you want to probably stay away from broader keywords because broader keywords tend to have a lot of volume, which is great, but they may also tend to have a lot of competition. But that's the whole point of doing the keyword research. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe there's more volume than competition. That's what you need to find out when you do the keyword research. You need to find those keywords that are relevant to your content, that have a lot of volume and low competition. And then once we identify those keywords, then we are free to go in and start optimizing our web pages for those keywords. And the first place we want to start is the title tag. So if you remember my example, going back here to our search, how to become a digital marketing specialist, we saw that every one of these listings had that keyword in the title tag. And the title tag is important because that's what users who use Google search see first when they type in a query and get results. So they're going to see the title tag. So the title tag is the most important element for on-page SEO. It's the most important factor because that's what people see. And so ideally when we choose our keyword, we want to make sure that keyword is in the title tag because that's what shows up in Google search. And that's what makes that particular web page relevant for that keyword query. So the idea behind a title tag, it's between 50 and 60 characters. And so we want to make sure we stay within that limit, no more than 60 characters, because what happens if it's beyond that, then Google will truncate the title tag. So if I go back to my search, you can see here on this particular title tag, Google truncated it, meaning they added the ellipses after the title tag because it exceeded the 60 character limit. So you want to stay within those character counts. And so the title tag is the first place you should start when optimizing your website. Because when we have the right keyword in the title tag and somebody types in that keyword, then chances are it's going to be relevant, they're going to see it, and they're going to click through to your website. And that's the whole idea behind ranking. We want to get clicks. So that's how the title tag appears. So when you optimize it, you're going to update the title tag, and this is how it shows up. It's going to show up at the top of your listing, okay, and it's going to be bigger and bolder than anything else Google displays. So the second thing you want to optimize is the meta description. And the meta description is simply just a brief description up to 155. I would say about 155 to 160 characters, but probably no more than that. And so the meta description is nothing more than a summary of the web page itself. So if I go back to my Google search results, I see my title tag and I see the page that this particular listing belongs to. And underneath that is where I can see my meta description. So in this particular keyword query, how to become a digital marketing specialist, I see the meta description, an ultimate guide on how to build a career in digital marketing and the skills required to become a digital marketing specialist. Note that it's a well-written meta description with 155 characters, and it includes the keyword digital marketing specialist. So we're trying to rank for how to become a digital marketing specialist, and here you can see become a digital marketing specialist. So there's a lot of relevancy between not only the title tag and the keyword, but the meta description in the keyword. So when you're optimizing a keyword, you want to start with the title tag, but you also want to update the meta description. Because if you don't update the meta description and you leave the meta description blank, then you're leaving it to Google to add in copy that they deem relevant. And so for on-page SEO, we want to take control of the copy and we want to optimize it for the keywords we want to be found for. So the meta description is a powerful tool at our disposal. It gives us more characters to work with. It gives us more to talk about. So for that particular page. And so if the title tag is only 60 characters maximum, it's not a lot of information to try and get somebody to click. So the meta description helps us in identifying what that page is about in order to get the click. So the two working in tandem will hopefully increase your click-through rates. So when you're found organically, we want to get the click. And then the third element that's important is the URL. And URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. And why is the URL so important? Because that's what people see. So if I go back to my search result, how to become a digital marketing specialist, notice that the URL also includes how to become a digital marketing specialist article. Okay, so it's very relevant. The URL is very relevant. One, we can see it in the search results. But two, it's relevant to the keyword query. And that's important for the end user and Google. Google wants to know, hey, is this the page that's relevant to the user's query? And if it is, then this user is likely going to have a good user experience after they click on the listing. So the URL is an element that helps not only with the click-through rate, but with ranking. And having a poor URL structure doesn't help at all, because not only does Google not recognize the URL as being relevant, but the end user may not want to click on that page given the way the URL looks. So you want to try and avoid a poor URL structure. So the rule of thumb is this: if you don't understand what the URL is, then Google is likely not going to understand what the URL is. And so we want to try and keep our URL structures clean. And when I say clean, ideally you want to make sure that whatever keyword you're trying to optimize, that's the keyword that's included in the URL. Nothing included that is not understandable. So again, going back to our example, how to become a digital marketing specialist. It's very clean. The title tag is the keyword. The meta description is cleanly written, has the keyword. And then the URL is the other element that the end user can see, and that URL includes the keyword in it. So after we've done those three elements, the title tag, the meta description, and the URL, then we want to start optimizing the page itself. So ideally, when we say optimize the page itself, the page, remember, needs to be structured. And when we say structured, it needs to be structured in terms of, headers and subheaders, and organized in a manner in which the end user can read the article, read the content clearly and concisely without being confused. And so that's the job of headers. They add basically an organizational structure to the content. And with headers, there's a hierarchy. So you have anywhere from H1, which is the top of the hierarchy, to an H6. And so you're free to use any one of those headers when building out a page in order to organize the content. But ideally, you probably want to stick with an H1 or an H2, because those are at the top of the hierarchy. And what those do is they actually stress to Google that, hey, this header with this particular keyword in it is important. So if you use an H6 with the keyword in it, it's telling Google, hey, this is an H6, but it's not as important. So an H1 and an H2 tag show importance. And so let's look at an example of what that is. So here you can see an H1 is going to be at the top of the hierarchy, so that means it's going to be bigger and bolder. Then you have an H2, which is going to be bigger and bolder than an H3, but not as big and bold as an H2. So with headers, not only are you organizing the content accordingly, but you're also signaling to Google how important that particular header is. And of course, the header needs to include the keyword we're trying to rank for. So let's take a look again at that example. So if we go to how to become a digital marketing specialist, if I click on that page, I can look at the content and I can see that there are headers in here. So the headers are there to organize the content. And that's what we want. We want to be able to organize the content. And if you look at the other example I'm showing here, how to become a digital marketing specialist, learning paths explored, you can see that's an H1, but below it's a subheader, the growing digital marketing job market. So that's an H2. And so we're not stressing to Google that that's more important than an H1, but nonetheless, we're stressing to Google that it's important nonetheless. So we want to be able to use headers. We want to be able to use keywords in our headers in order to stress to Google what's important, and also to organize the content, because Google likes content organized. Okay, the next element we want to focus on is internal linking. And so internal linking, if you remember earlier in the presentation, is basically links from one page on your website to another. And so here we can see on this particular article, how to become a digital marketing specialist. There's also links to other pages on Simply Learn's website. And so for this particular content, it also links to SEO specialist, PPC specialist, social media marketing specialist, and digital marketing specialist. So the whole idea behind internal linking is to link from one page to another where it's relevant. And in this case, it's relevant because we're talking about how to become a digital marketing specialist. That's what the whole content is about. And so what Simply Learn's doing here is offering up other pages on their website that are relevant to becoming a digital marketing specialist. And so this is a best practice when you're optimizing a web page. So you want to be able to have internal linking on your site. And the whole idea behind internal linking is it also allows users to navigate through the site naturally. So when I say naturally, they don't always have to refer back to the top navigation. They can naturally and seamlessly go from one relevant article or page to another. And so that's the whole idea behind link building and internal link building. It allows Google to identify, pages that they want to crawl and index because they're linked to one another. But it also helps the end user because it allows the end user to go from one page to another. And it's signaling to Google, hey, this particular page is linked to this page, so we're going to also index that page. And so that's the whole important part of internal linking. It's about the end user experience, and it's about allowing Google to find the pages on your website so they can crawl them and index them so you can be ranked for them. And so also, in addition to internal linking, we want to be able to use natural language. And so what do I mean by natural language or natural language processing? So what Google does is, in terms of natural language processing, they're looking for the content and the keyword. It needs to be relevant. So when your website is about digital marketing, you don't necessarily want to rank or try to rank for the keyword digital marketing. One, it's too broad. Two, there might be some competition. But three, you're probably not going to write something as broad like digital marketing. So ideally, what you want to do is you want to choose other relevant, related keywords that's going to be more natural. And so that's what we mean by natural language processing. We want to choose keywords that are more natural to the content you're writing. So instead of the keyword digital marketing, maybe we want to talk about the types of digital marketing, or digital marketing examples, or what is a digital marketing strategy, or how to become a digital marketing specialist. So those are all relevant keywords to digital marketing and more relevant to the content. Because if you try to rank for the keyword digital marketing, again, it's probably going to be a little bit broad, probably more competition, and not as relevant to your content. And as a result, probably not a good user experience. So think about some other keywords that you could optimize and rank for. And that goes back to the keyword research. That's why the keyword research is so important, because it allows us to identify other keywords in the natural language process. What keywords are more relevant for the content? And then another element to on-page SEO is the sitemap. And so with the sitemap, it's basically a list of all the pages on your website. And the whole idea of listing all the pages on your website in one document is it helps both users and search engines understand the structure of your website. So there are two types of sitemaps. One's an HTML sitemap, and that's designed for humans. So if you have a website with a lot of content, at the footer or the bottom of your web page, you probably want to have a link to sitemap. So if somebody clicks on that sitemap, they're going to be able to see all the pages on your website, structured in an organized manner. Well, an XML sitemap, and XML is just a different format. It's designed for crawlers. And so the whole idea, remember, is Google likes to crawl content. When they crawl content, they bring it back to their servers and index it. And so we want to be able to create a sitemap for Google or other search engine crawlers. And so XML is the format. So let me show you an example of how that looks. So if I go to simplylearn.com and simply type in, say, sitemap.xml, just as an example, I'm going to get this particular page. And this particular page displays two XML sitemaps. So these sitemaps are there for Google to go ahead and crawl, and nothing more than a list of all the pages on your website. And so this is a quick and easy way for Google to get a hold of all those pages so that they can index them. And that's the whole idea behind SEO. You want to be able to have Google index all the content you want to be found for the keywords you want to be found for. So it all starts with the sitemap. So let's go from on-page SEO, which in recap is basically optimizing certain elements on your website so that you are relevant for a particular keyword. And that meant updating the title tag, the meta description, the URL, the headers, choosing the right keywords to put into the content, having internal linking, and also updating the sitemap. Well, those are elements that you can do on your website. So we're going to switch gears and talk about a different strategy, off-page SEO, because without on-page or off-page, you can't have a page ranking. So the two work together. So you can do as much as you want on-page, but you still need off-page SEO. And you could do all the off-page SEO you want, but you still need on-page. So both of these strategies have to be in full effect in order for you to rank. So let's now switch gears to off-page SEO. And so off-page SEO is simply the process of linking or promoting your website using link building. And so if you remember, I talked about this earlier on. There's two types of links, internal and external linking. And so for on-page SEO, we used internal linking. For off-page SEO, we're going to talk about external linking. And external linking allows us to improve our website's recognition or relevancy or credibility. And why do we want to improve our relevancy and credibility and trustworthiness and authority? Because we want Google to know that our web page is trustworthy. It is recognized by other websites, and it is relevant for a particular keyword. And so if we can do that using off-page SEO methods, then Google's going to rank our web page for the keyword we want to be found for. So it's really off-page SEO is synonymous with link building, and there's plenty of opportunities to do link building. It just comes down to creating a strategy. So again, some of the benefits to off-page, well, we talked about being credible and trustworthiness and relevant. We need to do that in order to rank. But there's some other benefits there. So if we have a link on another credible website, then it's likely going to increase the traffic to our own website. It also creates high domain authority. And so what I mean by high domain authority is if we have basically links to other web pages pointing back to us, then basically our domain authority is going to improve. And when our domain authority improves, other websites are going to want to link to us. So the higher authoritative we are for our website, then other web pages are going to want to link to us. And so the more external linking we have, the higher the domain authority. So it all starts with linking to other high domain authority websites. So linking to a high domain authority website, for example, having a link on Wikipedia that points back to our webpage creates high domain authority for us, and it helps drive traffic. So some of the other benefits of off-page SEO are credibility. So if we're linking from Wikipedia to our webpage, it does create credibility for us. It also helps us increase our page rank. So remember that external linking helps build domain authority, helps build credibility, trustworthiness, and it's going to in turn help us rank for that particular page. And then certainly not last, having a good off-page SEO link building strategy increases our brand awareness, because if we're on other high authority websites, Wikipedia, or say a social platform, it's going to increase our brand awareness. And increasing our brand awareness increases our trustworthiness. And so if somebody is looking to, say, become a digital marketing specialist, then likely instead of typing in digital marketing specialist on Google, they may type in our brand name, in this case, Simply Learn. And so these are all the benefits to off-page SEO. So it's nothing more than having links on other websites that are pointing back to ours. And again, there's lots of benefits. It helps drive traffic and increases our authority. So those are things that we want to take advantage of when we want to rank. And the key behind off-page SEO or link building is always going to be content. So from an on-page SEO perspective, having quality content allows that content to be optimized for a relevant keyword and ranked. But also from an off-page SEO strategy, having high quality content allows us to have other sites, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a website. It could be a social platform, or it can be another blogging platform or blogging website, link back to ours. Why? Because the content is original, it's natural, it's well structured, it reads well. And so that's the whole idea behind off-page. You can't have links on other websites if you don't have quality content. So one of the ideas behind off-page SEO is not only do you want to create good content, but you probably want to spend a lot of time or a bit of time on others' websites. So remember the example I used earlier in this presentation about having an ice cream blog and ice cream recipes? Well, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to say spend some time on other blogs related to desserts, related to cakes, related to food in general, related to vegetables or other items that people could link from. So the whole idea is understanding who else is out there, who has relevant content that you could share. So you could share your content with them, they can share their content with you. And generally that's how it works naturally anyway. In the web sphere, if somebody likes your content, they're going to link to it. They don't necessarily have to wait for you to ask them. But it might not be a bad idea to understand who else is out there that has content similar to yours so that you can, get a link on that particular website or blog post. And so some other ideas behind having external links pointing back to your website is social media. So social media is not just Facebook or Twitter, but it expands beyond that. There's Quora, there's Medium, there's all sorts of content generated websites like Reddit. So the list goes on and on. You just need to find what's relevant for your content. If it's relevant for your content, then it's worth putting or trying to get the external link on that social media platform. And then again, going back to my ice cream blog recipes blog post, if you find a particular blog that you want to have an external link on, there's nothing wrong with reaching out to that particular blogger. In some cases, very flattering, but in other cases, if the content is relevant, then why not? It's only going to help your end user experience. If you add somebody who has, say, a blog about cakes, having their link on your blog post. So there's nothing wrong with it because it also adds to the user experience. And if you're going to ask somebody to put an external link on theirs, you might want to be open-minded and make sure that you are able and willing to put an external link on your blog post or website pointing to their content. That's how the web works, especially if the content's of quality, relevant, and of good nature. Okay, so let's move on and finish up with the do's and don'ts of SEO. So we talked a lot about why SEO, what is SEO, how do we rank for SEO, what is on-page SEO, what is off-page SEO. And so let's just wrap up with some of the things you, again, want to do to rank your page for a particular keyword and some of the things you don't want to do. So the first thing on the list is optimize for white hat techniques. And what I mean for opting in for white hat techniques is basically everything I just mentioned today. You want to do keyword research. You want to choose a natural language processing format, so you could choose keywords that are going to be relevant, natural to the content. And you don't want to opt for black hat techniques. And black hat techniques are probably not even worth going into detail, but one example is choosing a keyword arbitrarily, like say digital marketing, and just stuffing that keyword into the content. So that's probably not something you want to do because, again, it's not going to be good for the end user. So stay away from black hat and focus on some of the techniques we talked about in today's presentation. The other do we want to do is get backlinks from relevant sites. So that's off-page SEO. Again, it's what I mentioned earlier. It's about linking your quality content to another person's website that also has quality content. We don't want to have a backlink from an irrelevant site. Why? Because it's not going to be relevant, and it's also going to hurt our authority. Because if it's on a site that's not of good quality, then Google's going to look at us and say, well, this site is linking to your site, but it's not relevant. So therefore, we're not going to look at you in the same way as if you were on a quality website. We do want to use our keywords naturally because title tags are what people see first on organic search. But you don't want to use the same title tag on every page of your website. So we want to stay away from doing that. So you want to have a unique title tag for every web page on your website. And ideally, what does that mean? That means using our keyword research to choose 1 to 2 keywords per page and optimizing your web page for those 1 to 2 keywords. So ideally, what you want to do is have 1 to 2 different keywords for every page on your website. We definitely want to write engaging content. So the content should be engaging. Remember, user experience. We want users to stay on our website. We want them to enjoy the content that they're reading. And we want them to go from one page to another naturally. We definitely don't want to leverage or plagiarize or just copy content from others' websites because it's not, 1, probably going to be relevant to what you're writing about. 2, it's duplicate content and it's somebody else's. So that's a black hat technique we want to stay away from. I can't emphasize this enough. We need to do keyword research first before you do anything else. You need to find relevant keywords. And not only that, you need to understand the volume and the competition for each of those keywords. Okay, you don't want to choose a keyword that has low volume, high competition. You want to choose a keyword that has high volume, low competition. But above all, you want to choose keywords that are relevant to your content. We want to avoid keyword stuffing, so don't take a keyword and just stuff it everywhere on the page. It's not going to be natural, and Google's going to be able to pick up on that. So we want to maintain some level of quality with our content and quality with the keywords that we choose. So reminder, when you have quality content, it's always going to link internally to another page on your website with quality content. But it's got to be natural. And don't just build site-wide backlinks, meaning don't just have an internal link to the homepage, or don't have every page on your website linking to just one page. So internal linking should be natural, naturally linking from one page to another. Not only does it help Google understand and crawl all the web pages on your website, but it's good for the end user. It's good user experience. And certainly last, but something I didn't talk about, it does take time to rank your content. So remember the process. You're going to write your content. You're going to choose keywords. You're going to change the elements on that page for those keywords. And all the while, you're going to make sure Google can crawl that content. And when they crawl it, they're going to index it. The process takes time, especially if you choose a keyword that's competitive. So just be patient. If you have quality content and you've optimized for on-page SEO and off-page SEO, then you will rank for that keyword. And then make sure your website's user-friendly and mobile-friendly. So we talked about responsive content earlier. So remember, most users today start the process of search on mobile. So we want to make sure your websites are mobile friendly.
Well, to get this conversation started, here's a preview of what Matt will be talking about today. Keyword research and search trends, SEO-friendly copywriting, content optimization, website and landing page optimization, content trends, analytics, and of course, we'll be answering your questions throughout, so feel free to chime in. So with that, I would just like to hand the mic over for a bit here to Matt. So take it away, Mr. Bailey.
All right. Well, thank you, Dan. And as you can tell by the agenda, it seems to be content heavy. And that is certainly without an accident there, that if you've been in SEO for any length of time, you can see where things are moving in the digital marketing industry towards social media, content marketing, those types of things. And so the role of the SEO is becoming more critical than ever in being that connection from what are people searching for and then what do we publish. SEO is that critical link between the research and the development of content. And that is only going to increase more and more over the next few years. So that's why there's a little bit more emphasis on that content side that you'll see there. But just, a little bit more in detail on that the role of SEO has primarily been as that first line of understanding what the search engine is doing, what do they require, what are the new technologies coming out of search, and what are the trends coming from search. How is Google changing the results? What are they testing? So SEOs, first and foremost, are on those front lines of seeing what, especially Google is pushing the envelope more than anybody, and they're testing more things. And so understanding what is Google doing, what are the implications of it, is this just a test, or are we moving? What's the bigger picture of what they're attempting to do? And so understanding that role there of being that early predictor of what's going on with Google, and then being able to translate that inside your organization or inside your agency, that is really becoming part of the representative role of the search engine optimizer, is understanding here's what's happening and here's how we're supposed to react to it. At the very base level, it's understanding those keywords. It's understanding what are people searching for and what is their intent, and how do we then apply that into our content strategy. So that has been really kind of the foundational part of what an SEO does, but it's also going to be a little bit larger into looking at the larger trends of what is Google attempting to do, what are the implications, and how do we respond to that. Now, of course, with part of that keyword research is understanding the long-term trends over a year, 2 years, 3 years, because if something has a trend and it's predictable, well, then that's something you can bring into your organization because I love to say if it's predictable, it's monetizable. You can make money off it if you know that it's going to happen every year because you can prepare for it. You can help your organization prepare for those increases in traffic, especially if you're able to tie those trends into specific events. If you can come up with causality, what causes those to happen, how do we react to it, how can we develop that, and how can we incorporate that into our strategy? Again, that is more of a planning and prospecting work that a search engine optimizer would do, and those skills of doing keyword research and understanding the long-term view of keyword research, of trends throughout the year, creating those connections, that is a valuable skill which is only going to increase. And of course, those keywords are important for anyone in a marketing field or also customer service. We've seen more and more of this cross-marketing view across an organization where marketing is getting more involved in customer service. They're getting more involved in loyalty. They're getting more involved in many different aspects of nurturing customers, the customer experience. And so whenever you're planning any of these things for social media, and what are we doing with social media? Are we educating? Are we rewarding? Are we trying to look for new customers? Well, all of that requires content. That content is going to have to be researched as to when do we talk about certain things and how do we talk about certain things. Keyword research gives you that agenda. Keyword research tells you when people search for certain content and also the associated words that they have. And so that applies to your content marketing, your social media marketing. It also applies to when people become customers. And if you do any amount of CRM marketing, or email automation, or even triggered, your keyword research can help in developing the content that will be in those emails, because you'll have done the research and find out what do people want after they make a decision, after they purchase a product. What are the needs that they have? What is the information need that they have? And how do we write towards that? So again, SEO is influencing the content that is generated by the entire organization in nearly all communications. This gets back to seeing the trends that are happening within the search engine, and you've probably seen this lately. I love this example here. So if I want to make a latte and I type that into Google, this is what's interesting. The answer to my question is at the top of the page. Now, without even going to the website, I can have my answer for the question. And now there's a couple implications to this. Yes, it's great. We can be at the top of the rankings. We can have our answer there. But if the answer completely answers the searcher's question, it doesn't generate a page view. They don't see much of our brand. They aren't engaging with us at all. They're engaging with Google. And so this gets to the point of how do you then bring this to the organization as far as a strategic view of this? How do we approach it? How does this change what we do with our website or with our content? You can also see here that people are asking different questions. And this gets to the copywriting of the website. Are you generating content that answers questions? Because this is where Google is pulling this information as well as pulling the related questions that come from that type of content. This also is critical because this then leads into voice search. And so if you've got a home assistant, you use any of the phone assistants, or hey, guess what? This is coming in cars, that you will have a voice assistant in cars, and your search result will be read back to you. And this is the beginning stages of that. That if you have a question or a search, you would speak your search, and then the first result would be read back to you. And as you can see, it's not coming from the site, it's coming from Google. So this is where, again, we sit down, we look at the strategy. What are we trying to do? What is our strategy as far as visibility in the search results? And what's going to happen, and what's happening now with this, is you could be answering people's questions and never knowing it. Simply based because Google is delivering the result, they're not going to your site. Now, the possibility of them going to your site exists, but as more voice searches are being generated, Google is going to deliver a result that doesn't require a click-through because it's all happening through audio. So hopefully this doesn't, all the changes in SEO, I would say over the past 15 years, have been largely external, driven by Google, as Google has taken away keywords, taken away keywords in analytics, done numerous things here that have caused SEOs to have to react. And again, this is one of those changes that causes us to sit and figure out how are we going to deal with this change.
We have some questions already, one of which is
Sure.
Google's not spending so much time focusing on keywords specifically. Even though they're still important, where do you suggest that marketers look for keywords?
Oh, I think the typical keyword research tools are still very viable. In fact, you'll probably get better information out of keyword tools than you will Google's keyword tool. Google has been combining keyword concepts under a single keyword. So, for example, a great one that we've seen in the keyword research, pool table and pool tables, plural and singular. Google puts that all under pool table, whereas anyone who does any amount of e-commerce can tell you there is a world of difference between people that search for plural and singular. Before the changes in keywords, I could tell you with numerous sites that we had that if people searched with the singular version, they were about 3 to 5 times more likely to purchase than if they searched for the plural version. The plural version meant that they were shopping. The singular version pointed to they were ready to make a decision. So Google won't show you the data, however, between the plural and singular for pool tables. Other keyword research tools, however, will show you that. So even though even though it's getting more difficult with the keywords, from a marketing standpoint, absolutely still do your keyword research right as if you would. You're going to have to do additional research, maybe customer research, face to face, asking them to describe how they would search or what they were looking for or what problem you solved, because you're going to need a wider variety of input for keywords.
Yeah, and if you have any way to look into your competitors, I know there are some tools that let you do that. You can see what your competitors are, or at least in their SEM, you can learn a lot.
Yes.
Because you can tell a lot by what's a valuable keyword by learning what your competitors are paying for, and also check your analytics to see how people are actually finding you. What's interesting is how is I know RankBrain is one of the most influential parts of Google now, and I know that's basically lumping, instead of creating separate pages for plurals and other iterations of words, RankBrain is just sort of including all of that and looking for those words in general content. How is RankBrain affecting search terms and SEO with just keywords?
It's really trying to learn more of what exactly do people want from an intentional standpoint. Mm-hmm. So trying to put together unfamiliar searches or unfamiliar phrasings, or I think I read the other day, I'm trying to think whose name it was, but it was, Matthew McConaughey. His name in 1 week had like 8,000 misspelled variations. Mm-hmm. So somehow, a search engine has to figure out over 8,000 misspellings. Who did you mean? Who are you trying to figure out? So it's trying to figure out the intent and deliver the right result. And I think part of this is, yes, they don't want SEOs to be focusing on individual words. And by taking away all that data, in a way they have accomplished that. So what RankBrain is attempting to do is trying to tie those things together of how do we figure out. Now, they're looking at the minutia of the differences of words, but they do not want to show it to us.
Right.
So it's not a whole lot you can do. It's just, it's from their standpoint. The best thing you can do is just continue to write great content that people want, mm-hmm. that answers their questions using a variety of words that explain. A great example is, if you're writing an article, baseball season started here in the U.S. If you're writing an article about baseball, you're going to use words like umpire, like balls, strikes, bats, teams. Those are all words that build context. And so they're going to count just as much as the primary term baseball. And in fact, Google's going to look for all those other terms that build that context. Mm-hmm. And so it's not so much that single word anymore. It's that variety of I would call those second-tier words that support the context of what you're writing about.
Right.
Those are coming more into play.
And of course, putting that in a more natural language type of phraseology in your content rather than
Yes.
the old days of keywords. How many keywords can we stuff in the first paragraph? What's the optimum number of words in the meta tag? Blah blah blah. I mean, because now it really, if it looks like Google's been penalizing people for doing stuff like that for years, but now, especially with RankBrain, the more you can do to write like a conversation that people are actually thinking and asking about, I'm sure is a better way.
They've always wanted that. I mean, that has always been Google's goal. From the beginning, they have told us to write for humans. But the problem has been, there are a lot of SEOs there that would rather take the formulaic approach. And, why should I write for humans? I'm just trying to get people to my site. They're going to buy. And so they, try to reverse engineer everything to come up with this formula of use this keyword this many times in this part of the page. And, whereas Google has always said, write for humans first. And so by taking away some of those other options or taking away the keywords, it's really guided the industry to do what they wanted to do. And honestly, I think it's a good thing because the quality of content has to increase. It has to get better. And that is one way that they've enforced that. Exactly what they've imposed their will on people who desire to have better rankings.
Right. I just have one more question that a lot of people are asking if you have any specific recommendations for keyword research tools before we dive on to the next thing.
There are a lot of them. So if you've got like Raven or I'm trying to think what are some of the others. Raven SEO tools. There's one right on the edge of my tongue.
Word Tracker still.
Word Tracker, yeah. I've got a list of them somewhere here.
You could
but yeah, we could put that out. Yeah, just Google out and look at some of the keyword research tools. There are a lot of them. Many of them offer free trials, and so yeah, just get in, do the free trial, take a look at what's there. Some come with full service site management. You may not want all that. You may want that. Others are more standalone, independent. They just do keyword research.
Never choose a keyword research tool that doesn't show up at least on page 10 of the SERPs. Would be my.
But yeah, and honestly, the more you do keyword research, I have always felt this way, and it's the more you do keyword research, the better equipped you are to do your job. And by that, it's dissecting the keywords. What are people looking for? What are the trends? What do they associate? What are the people, places, and things? So as you're looking at the keywords, you're not so much looking to see the volume that someone searched for, buy a pink car. That's a great, that's good. But they talked about cars, they talked about buying, and they talked about color. That's more of what we're looking for is let's start slicing and dicing this down. What words are they associating? What colors? What features? And by understanding the breadth of how people search and the questions they have, it helps you write better content because now you understand I'm not just optimizing for one word. People have questions across an entire breadth of type, style, color, place, city, all these types of things. And so that's really what I challenge people to get out of keyword research is understanding the full breadth of what people want rather than just a single word or a single phrase. This gets into copywriting. You see, like I said, when you get into are people looking for colors? Are the people looking for locations, sizes? I want to understand the breadth of what they're talking about, and that helps me become a better copywriter. I can understand intent. If I know the questions that they have, then we can write answers. And so, I want to see how people are searching. A great example is now we've seen searches increasing for people searching for, the best, or the top rated, or
Near
reviews.
me, I think, is a
Yeah.
big thing too.
Oh, yeah, for me. People are actually typing in, what is the best car for me?
Yeah.
And I think what they're doing essentially is directly asking Google, based on the 2 million things you know about me, what would be the best car for me? So people are looking for more personalized information. So what you can do is get into the how-to, the why, what it means, all these different cues that people are giving in their key phrases. Develop your content to answer those questions.
Yeah, I'd actually seen a statistic that 82% of smartphone users use, and this is for businesses, looking for businesses, use specifically the term near me after their search. So even geographically, I don't know if that's anything you can include in the content, but
well, no, it blows my mind because if they're on their smartphone, they're automatically going to get results near them. That's kind of interesting. So it's more of a cue for Google than it is for a website, because to use that phrase in any of your optimization really wouldn't make a lot of sense because you don't know who's near you. And if anything, especially on a mobile search, Google is pretty much going to ignore that near me because you're going to get the results near where you are anyway. Yeah. Getting into the search data, people search for what they need. They figure out what they're looking for. But now here is where the role of the SEO is going to come in organizationally, is that when you have people writing content, generating content for content marketing, for social media, especially if you're working with, like a publisher who is constantly developing content, now you need to help them come up with ways to measure success and also to motivate them to implement SEO tactics in their writing. So rather than developing catchy headlines that may have a double meaning that may not play well in search, you need to help copywriters understand that, well, your headline, while that might look great on print, in search, it's actually going to cause a problem. And so you turn into an educator for your content developers. You're teaching them what works well, what's going to click well, what's going to look well in the search engines versus what might be confusing. Also, it's also helping them to understand, a great example of this, before I move on, someone gave me a great example as they were writing an article about holiday time travel. And that was the title of the article that they put out there. And they couldn't figure out why this article was consistently getting hundreds or thousands of visits a month, well after it was published. And when we went back and started looking at some of the rankings and some of the keywords and things like that, we found out that the article was ranking really well for time travel, even though the headline was holiday time travel. So it's helping your writers understand, what makes a good title. But then also, one thing that I worked with one publisher, and one of the things we did to motivate the writers was to develop like a leaderboard of whose content is generating the most visits. And not only that, whose content is generating the most new visits to the website. And then you can carry that through to, for different writers, how many visits or views have you generated in a month? Or over the past 6 months, how much has your content performed compared to other content? And you can carry this all the way out to, which writers had the highest amount of ad clicks in their articles, which articles led to people to subscribe again, or even get into customer lifetime value. There's so many things that you could implement. So from an SEO standpoint, you understand already how to look at the success of gaining rankings and what it generates in terms of page views, click-throughs, time on site, click depth, all those types of things that you can then develop into helping others in the organization who publish content start to measure the impact of their writing organizationally, and then especially if you're able to tie that to a financial implication that shows that this is what it's contributing towards the business in terms of revenue, then you become the all-around hero because you're able to help others tie revenue to activity.
That's great. We have someone asking, can this backfire on you? For example, if you're starting every headline with one weird trick, ... If you find that you have a lot of, if your bounce rate immediately starts going up because if you're rating for time travel or Star Wars or something that everyone's going to be looking for, then could that actually negatively affect how Google sees you? If you have all these bounce rates, they might see you as no longer being relevant.
Absolutely. And it's not just Google with the bounce rate. It damages your brand. It damages your credibility. I mean, it's clickbait. And, I mean, it doesn't take long for people to realize clickbait is clickbait. You can just look at some of the data. But, yeah, I mean, when you see articles or headlines that are obvious clickbait, people are, you get caught a couple of times, you get fooled a couple of times, it's not always going to work. And so this gets to, how are you positioning your brand? Are you positioning your brand as a trustworthy source of information that answers people's questions? Are you positioning your brand as we give people what they need, what they want? Or are you fooling them to click on an article based on what's popular right now? There's a couple questions that get to how the brand wants to be perceived in the marketplace based on tactics like that. But great question because clickbait is powerful, but you got to ask yourself, are we giving people what they want, or are we fooling them into it, and how will that reflect on the brand?
Right.
From another keyword standpoint, one thing that I found is very valuable to do is go out and look and see how people are searching for the brand and content associations they make with that brand. Now, this can also get into other areas. You may find that there's some crossover where there's another company with a similar brand name. And so this will help you understand a little bit more if you get some of that crossover traffic, but also from a PR standpoint, do people associate content or ideas with your brand that you would rather? This will help you become aware of something that might be out there that may not be getting picked up. So I enjoy doing these kinds of searches because I want to know what other words, associations are people making with the brand that you may need to deal with.
Yeah, and also look at your analytics and what is linked in your CRM to see how people have actually converted, because if you have some long tail keywords in there that would be good to generate content on, that your best customers are finding you through, that can be super valuable and at least compensate for having some super clickbaity words in there that is slipped in there accidentally. And what's interesting is that a few people are really wanting to hone in on this. Backtrack a bit here to ways to capitalize on certain things that I know people are looking for quick answers to rank high on Google, but the question keeps coming up about, for example, are there any ways why you could restructure your content to capitalize on things like near me? Like, should you put in your opening paragraph? If you're looking for a near, that's almost I personally would shrink from doing that, because I know that that's something that seems that Google, I don't want to put words in your mouth. It seems like Google's already doing that automatically based on if you're searching mobile, but two, if pretty soon they're going to catch up to people putting best and near me, and because that's the other question, like should I use terms that are when I see the results of most commonly searched terms in mobile, should I put those in my copy? What do you say about that? Like, are there ways that you can legitimately, without being penalized, capitalize on?
Okay. if you're legitimately publishing an article that is well researched comparing different products, and you title it Best Pet Food Products or something like that, that's a legitimate case. I have no problem with that. Do your homework and create something of value, and it will do well if it's good content that people like. Now, the near me is a bit more sketchy, because even though you may put on your website something about near you or near me, not everyone who visits your website. Remember, this is more of a mobile phenomenon. These are people on their phone looking for something near them, a drugstore, a car wash, something like that, a restaurant. And that's being computed based on distance, based on, past preferences, things like that. So it has nothing to do with the content of your website. What I would work on more is your local business listing in Google and developing more reviews for your business and working with that listing to add more pictures. Like I said, reviews. They have a function there now where you can add promotions. The more you develop that Google listing, that will do 100 times more to increase your visibility when someone is looking for something near them and they are near you than adding words to your website.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, that sounds smart.
I may come across a bit forcefully on some of these things, mainly because it has never bothered me when people out and out try to fool Google with some really intelligent things. I somewhat tend to admire it. But when people try to fool Google with what I would call amateurish things that are poorly executed, that's where I get a little ticked off at that. Yeah. Because it create a quality experience. That's what people want. Quality experience. And that's really what it gets down to with content marketing. You're answering people's questions. And so as people are generating that content, you're also sending them back to the site. You're sending them back to get answers, to register, to do things like that. So all those web pages from the content marketing that they're linking to, they need to be optimized for your inbound strategy. And what's interesting is also from a paid search standpoint, the landing page from paid search, it needs to be optimized just like any other page. That's part of the quality score algorithm. Does the landing page reflect the paid search headline? Does it also contain the keyword that you're bidding on? So you've got to look at how people are developing their landing pages internally, and maybe you can contribute to that as well in helping improve the quality score, because the optimization of that landing page is very similar. Where I see employment and industry trends. Now, this is interesting because talking with the director of OMCP and some of the surveys he's been doing of hiring managers, HR managers, and technology or in marketing across the globe here, one of the things that he has seen is there is becoming more demand of people who can manage the entire tech marketing stack, not the single channel specialists, because more and more automation is handling that. More and more, and this is where we're going to see the entrance of AI and machine learning, is adjusting your paid search campaign with those minute methods of increasing your click-through rate. It's going to be managing those bids. So eventually you're just going to focus more on the content, and eventually AI is going to take over the content. So the demand is for who were the single channel specialists of SEO, paid search, social, to move into understanding the entire omni-channel digital marketing campaign, and can run and can change and can make recommendations across the board for the entire stack of digital marketing. This is where we're seeing more of the employment trends going, as well as the skills demand, is getting away from that single hard skill to understanding the entire campaign. And that's going to go into all different types of things. That's going to include email, CRM, social, display. And SEOs, I think, are probably very well positioned in all of these things because of the foundation of keywords. The foundation of keywords and understanding intent and then developing content that answers those questions, that's needed in email, it's needed in automation, it's needed in social and display. Especially in the CRM automation, is someone has to write the content that needs to be automated. And so, again, this then gets into looking at the trends because automation, you not only need to write the content, but you need to then plan the content. When is it sent? When is this completed? When is this done? And so understanding the sales cycles and how long they go and when people need certain information at what times, it takes that planning strategy of being able to do that. And I think SEOs are well positioned to understand that full stack of marketing and the implications as well as the management of it. And then we get to analytics. This is my favorite. So as an SEO, or if you're taking on more of the omni-channel burden here, you've got to develop those measurements that show how effective not only SEO has been, but now content management. Content management is big. Everyone is moving towards it. It has become a significant piece of strategy. However, what is lacking in content management is the measurement. How do we know that this content piece that went out, whether it was a video, whether it was an infographic, whether, regardless of what it was, number one, how do we track performance? Number two, how do we know it affected anything? Number three, what was the pathway? Where were we driving people and what did we want them to do and how successful was that? And then also from an attribution standpoint, did this lead to other things? Where did this content piece or where does this channel help us overall in attribution in driving new leads or nurturing people along the path? And so it's getting more than just measuring clicks. It's measuring actual hard dollars that were generated based off specific channels or specific pieces of content. And then, it's developing an understanding of sales goals. What did the sales department need in terms of information to enhance the CRM so that they can nurture people along in the path? So it's more than just marketing. It's understanding that full scope that a company has.
Yeah, it's an excellent point. And I think another thing to keep in mind too is use actual conversations with your salespeople. As one of the few things, it's funny that marketing and sales often are their own little silos. And I think one of the best things a marketer can do is just go and talk to your best salespeople and ask them, why are people buying us? What are the questions they are asking you to answer? I think that can be because those questions, since they're legitimately people that are engaging with your salespeople and making purchases, I think those are the most valuable questions you can answer in your copy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, short of talking to a customer, talking to your sales department is the best way to get information. Now, before I got into SEO, I was in sales. I took sales training and dealt directly with people. So it kind of, I had that, that view of things. But I'm amazed at how much people don't interact with their sales department in order to learn, what do people need? How do we answer their questions? What do they respond to? But then also, your salespeople are the first in line entering information into the CRM. And when leads are created through your marketing efforts, it'd be good to ask them, what additional information do you need that would make a better lead? There are many times where we have changed the site on the recommendation of the sales team, and we may not have it. We didn't improve conversions, but what we improved were the scenario through which the sales call then came after the conversion and increased the close rate just based on changing the landing page or the thank you page after the registration.
Right. And it's a good conversation to start having with your sales field too, so that they know what kind of questions to listen to. Because a lot of times they're just not paying attention. You ask a salesperson, they'll think, oh, they made the sale because I was a great sales guy. But the more you work with them as a team and say that, hey, to get them thinking about actually listening to what the customers are asking for and passing that on to you, and that of course will help lead attribution and all the things that you said. So yeah, definitely don't forget the human element in SEO.
Yep. Well, and this gets to, this really gets to if the trend now is moving more towards, someone who can manage a full stack. It's also moving towards people who understand how to align sales and marketing goals. And beyond that, it's not just, like the example I gave before, it's not just, okay, we increased the conversion rate of our registration. Okay, that's great. How did that contribute to revenue? But now it's understanding that there are things that we can do to increase a close rate that don't always take place on the website, but it's a process. And so now we're analyzing processes that can be done electronically, and then how do we create a better revenue stream that way? How do we make a better nurture process? Now we're getting into the effectiveness of content and producing a result rather than just, a conversion, a sale, or a lead. Now we're looking at, well, how do we make more money based out of this? And that's really, it's that big picture of understanding that, our job is not just to get leads, it's to create better profitability, which rewards everybody. So it's understanding those touch points from content. So as content is being pushed out, does it answer the question? Does it lead people to the next stage? How quickly does it lead them there? Can you measure influence from your content and, through depth of visit or the depth of the page that they got to? And then again, it's the experience based on motivations. Can you understand that? Can you tie together what a customer was feeling at a specific point through their nurture stream or through this process? As I said, it's getting away from more just stuff that happens on the site. It's communications throughout the entire process, the entire life cycle of a customer. That's all coming under the management, really, of the marketing team right now, is that entire customer life cycle, communication, and management. And finally, this is a trend that I've been seeing as well in terms of jobs and hiring and also business function. OMCP did a survey at the beginning of the year asking people where they spent the most amount of their time, and specifically in SEO and SEO managers and anyone who dealt with SEO, nearly 40% of their time was spent presenting their research, presenting strategy, as well as explaining the reasoning for that strategy. And so SEOs, you need to become a lot more comfortable in front of people, presenting your findings, making recommendations, presenting opportunities, trends, and presenting it in a persuasive format that shows not a bunch of data charts, but shows how smart you are in creating new revenue opportunities for the company. And that is really where we see a lot of things going, are the presentation skills are becoming part of the demand for companies when they're dealing with tech.
If getting your learning started is half the battle, what if you could do that for free? Visit SkillUp by Simplylearn. Click on the link in the description to know more.
Keyword research. So what are we going to talk about when we talk about keyword research? We're going to talk about why we would do keyword research for SEO. We're going to talk about the types of keywords that we need to research. We're going to talk about some methodologies, best practices on how to do keyword research, some alternate suggestions. We're going to talk about keyword clustering, and then we're going to talk about some tools that you can use to do your keyword research. So let's start with the why we would do keyword research. So Jesse is planning to publish a blog of pizza recipes. So She was doing pizza recipes step by step, pizza recipes with sausage, homemade pizza toppings, pizza dough recipes, thin crust pizzas. She's doing a lot of different topics on pizza recipes. Well, what Jessie needs to do is understand what's going to drive traffic to these blog posts if she's writing about different topics around pizza recipes. So she's unsure how these blogs are going to drive traffic. So she really needs to understand that, hey, you need to choose the right keywords to drive traffic. So the question is, if you're writing a blog post about recipes with sausages, is pizza recipes with sausages or recipes for free the best keywords to use? Maybe, maybe not. So you need to take care in choosing the keywords to align with your content. So that's really the idea of why we would do keyword research, because some of the issues with keywords that are poorly chosen are they could have low search volume. For example, you may choose a keyword that just a lot of people aren't using to search for. Or they can be highly competitive. So if you choose a keyword that's very broad or popular, it can be very competitive and take you a long time to be found for that keyword. Or you could just make the mistake of choosing a keyword that isn't aligned with your content. Or you can choose keywords but use them incorrectly with your content. So these are some of the issues that you can encounter if you just go about choosing keywords randomly without due diligence, without the proper research. So low search volume will lead to less traffic. High competition, you may not even rank at all. Okay, if somebody finds you for a keyword that's not relevant to the topic, they're just going to leave the page. And if you're not using the right keywords, or if you are using the right keywords and not using them correctly in the content, then your pages may not even be found in organic search. So you really have to take care in choosing the keywords. To me, that's the most important step with SEO is keyword research. So we're going to talk about the types of keyword research then. So we have short tail keywords and we have long tail keywords. So if you write a blog post about pizza recipes, well, what are you going to choose? A short tail or long tail? So let's talk about short tail keywords first. So short tail keywords are keywords that are usually 3 keywords in a phrase or shorter. In some cases, it may be 2 keywords in a phrase or shorter. So short tail keywords usually have high search volume, which likely means higher competition. But what it also means, it could be lower conversions. Because short tail keywords, like for example, pizza recipes, could be considered a short tail keyword. But maybe somebody's looking for homemade pizza recipes or pizza recipes from their favorite Italian restaurant. So short tail keywords may not be as relevant. So if we compare it with long tail keywords, chances are you're going to have lower competition. That's one of the benefits, but you're also going to have lower search volume. But with longer tail keywords, the keyword is probably going to be more relevant with the content you're writing about. So therefore, the conversion rate's likely going to be higher. So that's really the difference between short tail keywords and long tail keywords. If you want to look at simplistically, short tail keywords are broad in nature. It's going to capture a lot of eyeballs, but those eyeballs may look at your content as not relevant, versus long tail keywords that may be very relevant, but not as many eyeballs on them. So short tail keywords, the characteristics, they're not as specific. Usually they're less than 3 words. They have high search volume and high competition. So if you just choose pizza recipes, it could take you a while to rank for that keyword. But when you rank, you're going to get the traffic. But again, it may not convert because the keyword is broad in nature. So pizza recipes is a short tail keyword that may not be exactly what you're writing about in your blog post. So it may draw a lot of traffic, but the traffic may not do anything. So the longer tail keywords are very specific. They consist of more than 3 words in the search query. They have relatively low search volume and competition. So the chance of you ranking higher, faster for that long tail keyword is probably going to be greater because not many other websites are trying to rank for that same keyword. And so the benefit of that is if you have, let's just say, homemade pizza recipes with mushrooms, that's a long tail keyword. But if somebody's looking for that type of pizza recipe, then you know you're going to attract the right traffic and chances are that traffic is going to engage or convert based on the type of conversion you have in place. So an example would be homemade pizza dough recipes. That'd be another example. More than 3 keywords in the phrase, very specific. We're talking about homemade pizza dough recipes. So we're not talking about just pizza recipes. So it's a little bit more specific in nature, longer tail. So these keywords are used for targeted pages, including blog posts. If you're writing a blog post specifically about pizza recipes with homemade dough, then this is the keyword you likely would want to use versus just pizza recipes. So let's look at an example between a short tail keyword and a long tail keyword. And to accentuate the differences, we're going to use Google's keyword planner tool. So Google's keyword planner tool is located in Google Ads, the Google Ads platform. And when you're in the Google Ads platform, you can simply click on Tools and then Keyword Planner. And so what Keyword Planner allows us to do is get a sense of the type of volume that a particular keyword has. So what Google's Keyword Planner does is they show you the average monthly searches. This is the average monthly search volume of a keyword over the past 12 months. And so in this example, we're going to choose pizza recipes and homemade pizza dough recipes. So one short tail and one long tail. So we enter those keywords in, we're going to click get results, and what Google's going to do is it's going to show us the volume of those keywords. So for pizza recipe, we could see the average monthly search volume is 33,100 for pizza recipe. So note that pizza recipe and pizza recipes are closely related keywords. And so what Google does is they consider that a close variance. So meaning if somebody types in pizza recipe, then they're also, in Google's eyes, looking for pizza recipes. So it's a close variance. And so for the keyword pizza recipe, which is short tail, we could see on average over the past 12 months, this keyword received 33,100 queries. And so if we hover over the graph, we could see basically the volume, the average volume per month. So here I could see for this particular keyword here, the volume per month is 33,100. And then I could see the actual volume over the past 12 months. And then for the long tail keyword, I can see homemade pizza dough recipe. Again, close variance, homemade pizza dough recipes. I can see over the past 12 months what the search volume is for this. On average, it's 2,400, but I could see here in December, the volume went up to 3,600. But for example, in May, it was 1,900. So it's going to fluctuate a bit over the past 12 months, but on average, it's about 2,400. So shorter tail, a lot of more volume. Longer tail, not as much volume, but nonetheless, there is volume here. And so these are the differences between a short tail and a longer tail. And so what Google's Keyword Planner also does is allow us to get a sense of what the competition is. And so here I can see the competition is low for both of these keywords. Fair enough. So we now know that if we want to optimize or choose the keyword homemade pizza dough recipe for our blog post, we know if we're ranked on page 1 of Google, even in the top spot, we can expect about 2,400 search queries for that keyword. Now, whether you get all 2,400 clicks for that keyword remains to be seen. Chances are you're not going to get all 2,400. You're going to get a lion's share of those clicks, but you're going to at least get some volume on it. So even the longer tail keywords have a lot of promise because there is some search volume here for this keyword. How to do a proper keyword research. So we looked at Google's Keyword Planner tool in Google Ads, and we typed in 2 keywords, and we were able to get a sense of what the average volume is. So we definitely want to choose keywords based on the following factors. We want to choose it based on search volume. Search volume is a good indicator of the potential traffic we can obtain. So again, for the keyword homemade pizza dough recipe, we know that it averages 2,400 a month in search volume. Again, we may not get all 2,400, but we're going to get a lion's share of that. We also need to look at competition. And so Google's Keyword Planner gives us a high, medium, or low in terms of the competition. But if you're somebody who wants to get a better sense of what the competition is, and you should, because competition is a key component in choosing keywords. And so what I want to do is get a sense of how many people are actually optimizing for that keyword. So Google's keyword planner tool is going to give me a low, medium, high. Really what I want to do is get a better sense of that numerically. So what I can do is go into Google's search, and I could type in pizza recipes, and I could see there's about 1 billion results. That's a lot of results. However, that means that every potential web page out there on the internet that mentions pizza recipes is going to be included in this number here. And so I want to get a better sense of who's optimizing for pizza recipes. So I'm going to put in the all in title syntax. And so what that is going to ask Google to do is tell me all the websites that have pizza recipes, the keyword pizza recipes in the title tag. So if I do all in title, colon, space, then pizza recipes, my result drops down to 336,000. So what that tells me is that there are 336,000 results with the keyword pizza recipes in the title tag. Now, if I want to focus in on my other keyword, if I choose my other keyword was a longer tail keyword, homemade pizza dough recipe. So if I type that keyword in, the homemade pizza dough recipe or recipes, remember close variants, and I just click enter or type the keyword in and hit my enter key, I'm going to get 35 million results. But again, is that really an indicator of the type of competition I have? No, because every listing that mentions homemade pizza dough recipes is going to be included in the search results. So I'm going to type in my all in title, colon, space, and then I'm going to get a better sense of how many websites have the keyword homemade pizza dough recipes in the title tag. And I get 2,160 different results. So here I can see the first result in the title tag, homemade pizza dough recipe. Second one, homemade pizza dough recipe. So these are sites or web pages that have that keyword in the title tag. So now I have a numerical number to work with. And so the thing you have to understand about SEO, specifically about keyword research, is you need to do research on a few different keywords, not just one or two. So what we want to do is have a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is going to contain keywords that we can potentially want to optimize for, choose as keywords to optimize for SEO. And so my recommendation is you come up with a theme first. So the theme for us in this exercise is pizza recipes. And so that's our theme. So we chose the keyword pizza recipes. So the close variance here is pizza recipe. What was the volume? Well, we know the volume was 33,100 for pizza recipe. So what are we going to do? We're going to put that number in our volume column. What was the competition? Well, if we go back and type in pizza recipes, it was 683,000. So I'm going to type in 683,000. What was our next keyword? Well, it was pizza or homemade pizza dough recipes. So if I go back for this particular keyword is 2,400. So I'm going to put 2,400 in under my volume column. And then what was my competition? Well, my competition was, I typed that keyword back in, 2,160. So I'm going to put 2,160. So now I have an idea of what kind of volume and what kind of competition I have. Now, you want to do this for a number of different keywords. And when you do it for a number of keywords, what you do want to do is obviously choose a relevant keyword that has high volume and low competition. So another way of saying it is the volume or ratio of volume to competition. And so basically what we could do is take volume divided by competition. And if I make that a percentage, I could see it's 0.35% is the ratio between volume and competition. If I do the same for my longer tail keyword, 2,400 divided by 2,160, I can see that 111%. So this just kind of proves the point that, yeah, I'm still going to get some volume, but I have a better chance of ranking for this longer tail keyword, homemade pizza dough recipes. So you want to be able to do that for a number of keywords and examine the volume, the competition, and the ratio between volume and competition for your themed keywords. In this case, pizza recipes. So relevancy, you want to choose keywords that are very relevant to the content that you're writing. And then again, commercial intent, what keywords are going to drive drive more conversions and revenue for the business. So when we talk about commercial intent, we're talking about, are you choosing keywords that are going to get somebody to do what you want them to do? So we could say, download pizza dough recipes. So if somebody's typing in the keyword download pizza dough recipes, then chances are they're going to find you, come to your site, and take action by downloading that pizza dough recipe. So you want to be able to also think about the intent of the keyword. Is it going to help you drive conversions and revenue if you're an e-commerce site? So search volume is the average monthly search volume made for a particular keyword and phrase. So we can get that number using Google's keyword planner tool in the Google Ads platform. We want to target keywords with high search volume that will help bring traffic to the website. We want volume, but we want to take into account seasonality as well. So that's where the Google's keyword planner tool comes in place, because if we go back, again, we can just hover over and we can get a sense of any particular trend going on or seasonality. So for example, if I saw large growth in the winter months and not much volume growth in the summer months, then that might indicate to me that this keyword is more popular during the winter time. So pay attention to the graphs that, the keyword planner tool gives you. Use them to your advantage to take into account seasonality. So a good example would be funny Halloween costumes. Well, we know that for Halloween, you're going to have a spike probably towards the end of September, all the way through October, and then it's going to drop after October 31st, which is Halloween. So that's an example. But in the case of pizza recipes, you may find that more people are choosing to search for pizza recipes during maybe the summer months versus the winter months. So pay attention to seasonality. It will affect search volume. So competition, based on our example, it's one of the most important key metrics. You don't want to choose a keyword that's highly competitive, because if it's competitive, then it's going to be harder to rank number one or even on page one of Google, depending on how competitive it is. So high search volume, low competition. In other words, the ratio between the two is the ideal combination. So going back to the spreadsheet, recommend you have that spreadsheet handy. Put your theme in place. Okay, theme pizza recipes. We use Google's keyword planner tool to find the volume. We use the all in title syntax to find the competition. So we entered both of those numbers in and we get our ratio. And so when you have these numbers for a number of different keywords, you want to be able to choose that ratio of high volume, low competition, but always relevancy always trumps ratio. So always go with a keyword that is going to be relevant to your content. Don't choose a keyword that's not relevant. If you choose a keyword that's not relevant, it's not going to bode well for user engagement. So the difficulty of a keyword ranges from 0 to 100 in Google's keyword tool. So it's going to be easy, it's going to be medium, it's going to be hard. But my recommendation is also to get the numerical factor, and that's the all in title syntax. And again, relevancy is what drives the traffic to your website, and keep the traffic there on your website. And also, not only will it keep the traffic on your website, but hopefully get that traffic to engage and convert. So that's the key about relevancy. You always want to choose keywords that are relevant to your content, even if it's sacrificing volume. Relevancy, again, trumps volume and competition. So always choose relevant keywords first. So when you do that, you're always almost guaranteeing that at some point somebody's going to find your content, because somebody out there might be looking for it. And if they do, you're going to get found, and then the engagement's going to be better. So understand your business, find keywords that are relevant to your business, and then focus on those keywords. That'll help you with getting the right traffic to your site. Always keep in mind the commercial intent. So these keywords are more specific and result in conversion rate. For example, buying is a good commercial intent keyword. So if you really want somebody to come to your website and buy, then focus on those types of keywords. In the case of the pizza recipes, maybe it's download could be our commercial intent keyword. Again, there may be low search volume, but those are the type of keywords you want to focus on, because that's the type of traffic you want to drive to your site. So some other examples of commercial intent keywords are discount, deal, your coupon, shipping. Don't be afraid to use some of these keywords as part of your longer tail keyword phrase. Again, the volume may not be high, but the traffic quality is probably going to be better. So keyword research is the foundation for SEO. So if you have chosen your keywords properly, then if you do get ranked for those keywords, then it's going to lead to better engagement with some conversions. And so when we talk about keywords, we also want to talk about our primary and secondary keywords. So every page should have at least a primary keyword and then a secondary keyword to work with. So primary keywords are really defining the nature of your content. The secondary keywords are relevant to the primary keyword. So why do we choose a primary and secondary keyword? Because you may choose a keyword as a primary keyword that is relevant to the content, but may not necessarily rank very high or have a lot of volume. That secondary keyword is also relevant to the primary keyword, but also relevant to the content. And you may rank for that secondary keyword. So you always want to go with two keywords versus just one keyword. You want to give yourself a chance to rank for at least two different types of keywords of relevant nature. So for a web page, there can be several secondary keywords, but only one primary keyword. So your primary keyword is always going to be relevant to your content. Secondary keywords can be relevant to the keyword, and you may have multiple secondary keywords, but it's also going to be related to the content, and it gives you a better opportunity to be found between both the primary and secondary in search. Okay, so let's take a look at another example of how to use primary keywords and secondary keywords when choosing keywords. So if our primary keyword is healthy diet plan, remember healthy diet plan is directly related to the content, so that's what we're talking about. But these secondary keywords are also related to content and play off the primary keyword. And so what we want to do is go to Google's keyword planner tool and get an idea of the volume for healthy diet plan, and then also the volume and competition for some of these secondary keywords like healthy diet for weight loss, healthy diet food, low carb diet, healthy meal plans, and diet plan weight loss. So if I go in to Google's keyword planner and type those keywords in, I'm going to choose get results. And now here I could see healthy diet plan keyword I'm focusing on as my primary keyword has an average monthly search volume of 9,900. And then some of my secondary keywords, healthy diet foods, diet plan weight loss, low carb diet. Google will give me a number of different keywords to work with. So I'm going to look at the search volume of those as well. And so ideally what I want to do is be able to then look at the volume and then look at the competition. So healthy diet plan, I go into my keyword analysis here. That's my theme. So that's my keyword. What's my volume for healthy diet plan? 9,900. What's my competition? So my competition is 74,700. And that's going to give me a ratio of volume to competition of 13%. So that's what my content's about. That's considered a short tail keyword because it has a lot of competition. And so my ratio is 13%. And what I want to do is I want to be able to put these other secondary keywords in here as well. Maybe even go a little longer tail because I want to be able to find at least two keywords. I want to be able to find my primary keyword that's relevant to my content, and then I want to be able to find my secondary keyword, which is again related to the primary keyword, which is also related to the content. And so I want to be able to choose two keywords basically, and I want to choose two keywords that are relevant, that have good ratio between volume and competition. So that's the whole idea again of how to do keyword research. You want to be able to find your keywords, use the tools available to you, and get a sense of what the volume is, what the competition is, look at the ratio between the volume and competition, and then based on the content, choose that primary keyword, and then again, based on the keyword you chose, choose some secondary keywords as well, because you want to be found for not just one keyword, but multiple keywords. Okay, let's look at some alternative suggestions to keyword research. So for doing keyword research, we want to take into account LSI keywords. We could take into account other platforms that host a lot of content like Quora or Reddit. We can use Google suggestions in the keyword search bar. We can use popular platforms like Wikipedia. and we can use social media bookmarking like Reddit. So there are lots of suggestions that we can obtain from various sources. So let's start with LSI keywords, and LSI stands for latent semantic indexing. And so basically what it is, it's just keywords that are linked to your primary keyword. And so when you're choosing keywords, you always want to choose that primary keyword and then secondary keywords that are similar to the primary keyword. And usually those are LSI or latent semantic indexing type keywords. So they're used to drive relevant traffic to your page. So if you're focusing on one keyword, we want to have other keywords that are similar to increase our visibility on the search engine result pages. So we could find latent semantic indexing right in search. So if we use the term healthy diet, if we go to Google search, for example, if I type in healthy diet in Google search, all I need to do is scroll to the bottom of the page and I can see searches related to healthy diet. So healthy diet menu, healthy diet essay, what does a healthy diet look like? Notice at the top, Google's also given me some other suggestions here. So they're saying low-fat diet, veganism, gluten-free diet. So there's lots of different suggestions right in Google search bar. So all of these are LSI related keywords. So if you're optimizing a page for healthy diet, then you could choose low-fat diet as a secondary keyword. You can use gluten-free diet as a secondary keyword. It really depends on what the content is, but you always want to support your content with as much LSI keywords as possible so you can be found for as many different keywords as possible in Google search. So it's important because if you have a blog that, talks about Python, so how do the search engines know if the website Python is about the programming language or the snake? So Google, for example, uses LSI keywords to understand what the page is specifically focusing on. So if you're just focusing on Python in your content, you want to support that with LSI keywords. And so that will allow your web page to better communicate with Google, also to have the visibility to show up on search. So they can certainly improve your search positioning and featured snippets as well. So if you have a keyword that answers a question, you can certainly be found for a featured snippet. For example, maybe, healthy diet recipes. If I type that in, you can see here, there's a featured snippet. So if I'm talking about recipes, that's a keyword I may want to use. And if I use that, then Google has an opportunity to see what my content's about and place my information at the top in this featured snippet. You can also, again, see what some of the questions are being asked, what meals are good for weight loss, what is a good healthy diet plan. All of these could be keyword phrases that you can use. So the answers are right here in Google. So Quora is a great platform because Quora is a platform that people go and ask questions and a community responds with answers or responses to that particular question or topic. And so the great thing about Quora is it's a good place for you to go to get some ideas about a specific topic. So if we're talking about healthy dieting, so we can find keywords with high search volume right in Quora. So the whole idea is you can look at, the top 5 questions for a specific topic, like healthy dieting, and find relevant keywords to healthy dieting. So if you just type in that particular keyword in Quora, you're going to probably get some responses to questions or responses to somebody else's question. And so if we take a look at Quora, for example, so if I just type in healthy dieting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some responses to the topic healthy dieting. So what's the best diet for healthy living? What are the top 5 tips for a healthy diet habit? So all of these could be keyword phrases that you could take away with for your own content. And so the benefit here is you're getting kind of an idea of what's trending, what people are talking about. And if you use tips for a healthy diet habit, for example, and you optimize for that, well, again, that could turn around and bode well for you because you could be featured in Google as a featured snippet at the top here. You can also turn around and use LSI related keywords for healthy diet habits. And you can simply just look for those LSI keywords right in Google. Remember, at the bottom or at the top. If I scroll down, I could see some related LSI keywords keywords at the bottom. So right in Google as well, you could see in the Google search bar that Google provides some LSI related keywords to your query. So if I go back here and type in healthy diet recipes, I can see here Google suggesting some other related keywords. Healthy diet menu, healthy diet for men, healthy diet foods, healthy diet for women. So these are all LSI related keywords that you can use to support your primary keyword and the content you're writing about. So we've talked about LSI keywords, where to find them. So they're found right here. They can be found at the top of Google, and they can be found at the bottom. You can also then go to Core as well and get some ideas for the types of questions that are being asked. So if you ask a question and use that as your keyword phrase, then again, you have an opportunity of showing up for a featured snippet in Google just by doing some additional research within Google itself or on Quora. So according to Google, the autocomplete predictions are automatically generated by Google's algorithm without any human intervention. It's based on a number of factors, but the primary factor is how often past users have searched for a term. So Google collects all the keyword queries that somebody types in, and they're suggesting some of the most popular terms that people have typed in. So if I go back to Google, again, if I start to type in recipes, I could see some of the other queries that somebody else has typed in, or some of the most popular queries related to that topic. So if you enter the keyword healthy diet, Google's going to suggest multiple keyword suggestions that users have asked in the past. And you could certainly get the search volume of those keywords just by looking in Google itself. I could see for healthy diet recipes, billions of pages related to healthy diet recipes. I can also get the search volume by going into Google's keyword planner. So if I type in healthy diet, I'm going to be able to see what my search volume is for that keyword. And in addition, I can see the seasonality of that particular keyword. And in addition to that, Google's going to provide some other related keywords to my search query. So if I'm looking for healthy diet, Google's going to suggest, hey, maybe you should choose healthy food or healthy eating or how to lose weight. So those are all LSI related keywords that Google provides in the keyword plan, which is built into the Google Ads platform. Another option for you is Wikipedia. So Wikipedia is a vast platform of content. So we could turn Wikipedia into our own asset and use it to our own advantage by finding relevant keywords in an easy fashion. So with Wikipedia, we can identify a list of keywords in the meta description itself. We could choose keywords from the first paragraph of Wikipedia that has many relevant keywords, or we could take a look at keywords from the Wikipedia content section. So we can also see additional pages like the See Also section that gives relevant keywords that you're looking for. We can also look at the references section as they contain relevant keywords. So if we go to Wikipedia as an example, and I type in healthy diet into Wikipedia, here I can get, just in the first paragraph alone, I can see some additional keywords that I might choose to use, like micronutrients. I never knew that micronutrients was related to healthy diet, but Wikipedia is providing some information about what micronutrients is. And maybe I can use that as a keyword, an LSI related keyword to my content. So if I scroll down, I get the See Also section. So it might give me some information, food information to consumers, for example, dietary guidelines. I can look at categories like dietetics and diets. I can also look at the references section, so I can also see what information was provided, like health effects of overweight and obesity. I can look at diet and physical activity. So all of these are related to my main keyword, healthy diet. So the answers are right in here on the platform. They're just all over the page. So Wikipedia has an abundance of information. You just need to know where to look. So again, with Wikipedia, you can look no further than the first paragraph. You can look no further than the See Also section, the references section, category section. There's lots of information right on the page itself to help you get ideas for keywords. So if you Google your keyword with Wikipedia term in the search query, you can get relevant keywords from the title tags in the SERP. So you can also do that as well. So if I type in healthy diet Wikipedia in search, I can also get some information here as well. So people also search for healthy food advantages or healthy food habits essay or information about healthy food. All of these are related to my keyword healthy diet. So again, another bit of information information for you to choose or look to choose some additional keywords for. So Reddit, it's a popular community where people post content and discuss a variety of topics. So that's what Reddit is. So with the help of subreddits, an individual can find relevant keywords with high search volume. So in Reddit, there's an easy way to find out keywords. They have a keyword tool called Keywordit. So Keywordit gives the average monthly searches for a particular keyword. So if we type a word in Keywordit and choose keywords from the auto-generated list, this tool will extract the keywords and give us those relevant terms with search volume. So if we go to the Keywordit and show an example of that, for example, healthy food, if I get keywords, I can see what keywords are relevant and the search volume of that keyword. So if I just type in healthy food, Keywordit tool is going to tell me some relevant keywords and what the volume is. So if you don't have the keyword planner tool in Google Ads available to you, this is a good alternative solution to finding keywords. So it's free. You just need to go to keywordit.com, type in your keyword, click Get Keywords, and what it's going to do is give you some relevant keywords related to your primary keyword with the search volume. Let's talk about keyword clustering now. So the whole idea about keyword clustering is to really take advantage of the keywords that we're optimizing for to gain higher ranking. So if we can cluster keywords together in a theme, and that theme of keywords is relevant to a specific page of a website, then we have a better opportunity to rank. So in other words, why do we have to target just one keyword when we can target many? So keep in mind, LSI keywords. We want to group a bunch of keywords together that are similar for content. So for example, after some keyword research, you can thematically group keywords into a core topic. So for example, we can cluster these group of keywords together. Like for example, what is SEO? How does SEO work? Intro to SEO. What are the basics of SEO? All of those are related to the core theme. What is SEO? Another cluster of keywords, for example, could be SEO techniques, SEO best practices, tips and tricks, website optimization, on-page SEO techniques, etc. So those are clusters of keywords, okay, that we can group together in themes. And if we group keywords together in themes, we can apply that to a particular content on our website. So the whole idea behind clustering keywords, it's going to provide more diversity, more of an opportunity for us to be found. So that's the whole idea behind clustering. So some additional steps. Remember, stay up to date on industry news. So brainstorm your ideas first and identify a list of keywords, i.e. a theme of keywords that you can cluster together. And then you could determine the keywords that your competitors are already ranking for. So, for example, if we want to rank for the keyword SEO best practices, for example, we can use a tool called Keyword Moz. If I go to the Keyword Explorer tool in Moz and just type in SEO best practices, what it's going to do is it's going to give me some volume related to that particular keyword. But more importantly, what it's also going to do is it's going to show me what pages are already ranked for that particular keyword. So therefore, I can get a sense of who is already ranking for that keyword. So here I can see Moz, Medium.com, Alexa.com. So I can get a sense of what web pages are ranked for a particular keyword or group of keywords I want to rank for myself. So if we look at tools for keyword research, look no further than Moz. That's the Moz is the tool I would just use, but you could also use Google's Keyword Planner, which we used in the example. So for example, if I go back to the Google Ads Keyword Planner, if you're in Google Ads, you click on Tools, you click on Keyword Planner. And what Keyword Planner does is it provides you, for a particular keyword, the average monthly search volume over the past 12 months. It provides you information on seasonality. So if I hover my mouse over a graph, I'm going to be able to see the volume per month over the last 12 months. What the Keyword Planner also does is it provides me some additional ideas for my particular keyword. And in addition to that, it's going to provide me some sense of how competitive that keyword is by telling me whether it's low, medium, or high in terms of competition. So there's SEMrush. There's also other additional keywords tools out there like WordStream or Href or the Reddit tool, Keyword It. And then Moz is another tool I particularly use. So if I go to Moz again, here I can just type in a keyword that I'm interested in. It's going to give me the search volume of that keyword. It's going to give me the level of difficulty, so 50 out of 100. So it's halfway between difficulty and easy. And then it's going to give me some additional metrics. Like, for example, what my expected organic click-through rate would be if I were to rank for this keyword. But more importantly, what I like about this is we could see exactly what other sites are linked to this particular keyword we're interested in. So here I can look at the top 10 list. So this is Moz's Keyword Explorer tool. So that's what this tool is, and it's part of Moz.com. So there's a lot of tools at your disposal. I particularly use Moz. I particularly use Google's Keyword Planner. And those are the tools I use, but there are lots of tools out there. Google Analytics. I'm very excited to be with you today because Google Analytics is one of my favorite Google platforms and my favorite topics. So let's talk about what we're going to cover today. And we're going to start out with how to set up a Google Analytics account. And so we're going to talk about everything that entails, including creating your Google Analytics account. We're going to talk about setting up a property in your account and what a property is. We're going to talk about setting up a reporting view in your property, and we're going to talk about installing the tracking code. So those are the series of steps we're going to go through today in terms of setting up a Google Analytics account. So let's get right to it. And so really the one prerequisite here when it comes to setting up a Google Analytics account is to have a Google login and ID. So when you actually go to Google Analytics, you need to be able to sign up or sign in. And so once you actually sign in, then you're going to go walk through a series of steps. But really, that's really all you need to get the account going is a Google ID and login. So if you have a Gmail account or an other email account that you use for other Google products, then you're good to go. That's all you need to do. So when you actually go to sign up for Google Analytics, you're going to be asked to set up a new account. And these are the series of steps you're going to walk through or go through to set up a new Google Analytics account. So you're going to choose an account name. And then you're going to choose a property name. Okay, so the account name can be anything you want it to be. The name of your company, your name, whatever you want to name it. The property name is really the website name. So what website are we talking about? So here I'm going to set up a fictitious website name for now. It's called Demo Simply Learn. So the URL for this website, Demo Simply Learn, is going to be demo.simplylearn.com. So that's the property. When we talk about properties in analytics, we're really talking about what websites we want to measure. And then you're going to be asked to choose an industry category. And so for Simply Learn, we're in jobs and education. But you have a number of different industries that you could choose from. It's as important. Go ahead and choose the most relevant industry that your particular business is associated with. Okay, and I'm going to talk about why that's important here in a minute. And then you're going to choose your time zone. And the time zone is also important because that's when the day starts in analytics and the day ends based on that time zone. So the data that Google Analytics collects starts and ends with that time zone. So very important to choose the time zone your business is located in. Okay, and then you have some additional options here. Okay, so you have some settings. And so the first setting is to allow Google products and services. So if you opt into this, then basically what Google's going to do is share some products and services with you via email. I would go ahead and opt into that. That's of course recommended by Google. It doesn't hurt to hear from Google on related products and services that may enhance your business. The second is benchmarking. So benchmarking to me is something you should opt into. So going back to that industry and category, we chose jobs and education. So by opting into benchmarking, basically what Google's going to do is share your data that it collects on your website website, in this case demo.simplylearn.com, it's going to share that data anonymously with others in the industry, in this case jobs and education. And because you've opted in, it's going to do the same exact thing for you. It's going to share anonymous data on other websites in the same industry. And the benefit of that is we get to see what other websites or how other websites are performing compared to ours. What's the benchmark in our industry? And so the benchmarking to me is important, and I'm going to go over that in a few minutes when we go over the different reports. But to me, I would always opt into benchmarking because this is the only report Google provides in analytics about how others in your industry is performing versus your website. Okay, so it's a way to compare your website performance against others in the same industry. The other options here, technical support and account specialist, I would also recommend you opt into those because then it allows you to basically allow Google access to your account, and they'll be able to help you if you occur or run into any issues. So these are the options in setting up a Google Analytics account. It's very simple, very easy to do. You're just entering in a few fields. Note that we talking about a website right now, so I'm talking about demo.simplylearn.com. But just know that if you want to track a mobile app, Google Analytics will allow you to do that as well. You just choose the option mobile app. So we're tracking a website. We want to know how users behave when they get to my website. And that's what Google Analytics is going to allow us to measure and look at. We just need to do a couple more steps in the process. So once we fill out these fields here, we're going to click Get Tracking ID. Now, I'm going to accept the terms of service. I'm going to accept another terms of service in relation to data protection. I'm going to click accept. Once I accept, I'm going to be able to get some tracking code. The tracking ID is the ID associated with your account. And so this number is going to be associated with your account. So your account ID starts with UA, and it's going to be this number here. Now the -1 is the property you set up. So in this case, I set up demo.simplylearn.com. If I wanted to track multiple websites under that same account, then I can certainly set up multiple properties. Just know that every property I set up in that account is going to have a -1, -2, -3, -4, etc., depending on how many properties I set up. So by default, I set up one property, so my first property ID is -1. If I set up a second property, the same account number, it's just going to have a -2. And that's important because that ID, that account and property ID, is going to be associated with that particular property or website. So again, once you finish setting up the account settings, then you're going to be asked to add some tracking code to your site. And that tracking code is going to be related to the account and the property. So notice my tracking ID up here. Notice the tracking ID in the snippet of code. Now, this snippet of code needs to go on every page of your website that you want to track. And you don't have to put it on every page, but if you want to track website behavior on every page of your website, then it needs to go on every page of your website. So if you're using a platform like Drupal or Joomla or even more popular platform like WordPress, adding the tracking code site-wide is as easy as maybe adding a Google Analytics plugin to WordPress, for example, and then just simply plugging in the ID. Now, there's an alternative to adding the Google Analytics tracking code to your site, and that's Google Tag Manager. So Google Tag Manager is the way I would recommend going. So if you're not familiar with Google Tag Manager, I would recommend watching the YouTube video we have on Google Tag Manager. You can just go to YouTube, type in Simply Learn Google Tag Manager, and this will give you a nice overview of what Google Tag Manager is and how it works. But basically, this is the way I would go, and I would recommend that in addition to having Google Analytics, you set up a Google Tag Manager account. And then that way you can put the tracking code in Google Tag Manager. So if I go to Google Tag Manager and I just go into an account on Tag Manager, I can just simply put in the Google Analytics ID right into Tag Manager. And so if I have it in Tag Manager, then Tag Manager is going to be the place that holds the code and fires page view when somebody comes to my website. So that way I don't have to add the tracking code to my website if I do it in Tag Manager. So that's the recommended method for me, is to add the Google Analytics ID associated with Tag Manager. If you can associate it with Tag Manager, then that's the easier route to go versus putting code on your website. Okay, so again, take a look at the video we have on YouTube for Google Tag Manager. That's the route I would go. Now, once you do get the tracking code on your website, whether that be through Google Tag Manager or through a plugin, or just simply adding the script to your site, to pages on your site, then what's going to happen is you're going to start collecting data. So that's ideally the way it works. You need to add this code to your website. Now, if you're not ready to do that and you simply want to basically understand how Google Analytics works, then I would recommend getting access to Google Analytics demo account. And so if you just type in and search Google Analytics demo account, basically what you're going to do, you're going to choose the first listing there and you're going to go to demo account. So if you have a Google Analytics or Google login, then all you need to do is click on access demo account. And so what Google's going to do is put this demo account into your account. And so it's going to look something like this. So if I click on demo account here, it's going to add to my Google Analytics account. So I'm going to have then access to the demo account from Google in Google Analytics. So I would recommend going this route here if you're not familiar, you're not sure what you're getting yourself into. So think of the demo account as kind of a test drive. You're test driving Google Analytics before you even add any code to your website. So again, all you need is a Google account. And if you have a Google account and you add the demo account to your Google Analytics account, you're going to be able to see how analytics works. Okay. And so that's what I would also recommend. So if you're not ready to start adding code to your website, then what you can do is just simply add the demo account. And then once you add the demo account, you're free to peruse around Google Analytics to see the different types of reports it has to offer. Now, when you do actually set up a Google Analytics account, you're going to have some settings that you're going to want to pay attention to. So when you set up the account, you have the account name and then you have a property. So under each property, you have, by default, you're going to have one view. And so here you can see this view here. So if we look at the account we set up a demo Simply Learn account. Property is demo Simply Learn. So that's associated with the website we're going to track. And then again, by default, under each property, you're going to have a view. And so by default, the name of the view is going to be called All Website Data. And so in that view is where all your analytics data is going to be stored. So you can see my screen here. There's a lot of different settings you have. You have settings under the account, you have settings under the property, and you have settings under the view. So we're going to talk more about these settings in future webinars for advanced Google Analytics users. But for now, know that there's a bunch of settings that you have that you can play around with when it comes to Google Analytics. Anything from adding users to your Google Analytics account, your Google Analytics property or view. You can actually set up goals, you can set up filters, you can set up segments, you can link up Google Ads, you can, set up remarketing lists. There's a lot you can do in terms of the settings as it relates to Google Analytics. But so know those settings are there. They're located right down here in this little sprocket icon. That's the admin icon. So if you need to get to these settings at any time, you could simply just click on the sprocket or the admin icon, and then you'll be prompted to choose any one of these settings here that you want to edit or alter. So now let's take a look at some Google Analytics reports. So once you've actually set up your account, you have a number of different reports that you have available to you in Google Analytics. So we're going to take a look at customized reports. We're going to look at real-time audience reports, acquisition, behavior, and conversion. So these are all the different reporting buckets, if you will, that you have available to you in Google Analytics. So if I'm an admin and I'm looking at the Google demo account, let's start out by looking at real-time. So if I click on the real-time report and I just click on overview, so basically what this is going to do is show me at this point in time how many users I actually have active on the website. Okay, so that's why they call it real-time reporting, because it allows you to see the behavior of users who are currently on your website. And so this is the overview report under real-time. And you can see here, I can see that 79% of my users are coming from desktop, 18%, 20% are coming from mobile, and then approximately 3% are coming from tablet. Here I can see how they actually came to the website. So this is the referring source. If they came from, say, search or social, I can see the source there, and I can see what pages they're active on. And then here I can see what locations, where they're located. And so if I want to see a breakdown of everything in the overview, I can certainly do that. If I go to locations under real time, I can see a majority of my users are coming from the United States. Okay, where are they coming from? I'll just click on traffic sources. And here I could see the different sources and mediums. Medium is the means in which the traffic was driven. So if it's Google, it's either paid search or organic search. So I can see here it's organic. Then I can actually see what content they're looking at on my website. So I can see currently I have 3 active users on the home page, 2 active users on the Google's Women's White Tea page, so forth and so on. Now, most importantly, if you have event tracking set up, so if you've taken a look at our Google Tag Manager webinar, you know that you could set up event tracking in Google Analytics to measure engagement on your website, whether that be a form submission or somebody clicking on the play button of a video. So if I click on events, I'll be able to see what events are firing. So here I can see we have event tracking set up, and I can see how many different events are firing on my website in real time. So here I can see e-commerce, somebody clicking on the quick view click, a couple of users clicking on add to cart, a couple of users clicking on the promotion click. And as these events are fired, you're going to be able to see them highlighted. So if something gets fired, it's going to get highlighted. And I could see that these are the current events that I have currently firing on the website. And that's what's currently fired now. If I want to look at the events that have happened in the last 30 minutes, I could just click on this link here, last 30 minutes, and it's going to give me an overview of the events that have happened over the past 30 minutes. Okay, so that's event tracking. And then more importantly, we can also look at what conversions are happening in real time just by clicking on conversions. And so now I could see I had 1 active user who entered the checkout. So that's goal number 4. So in analytics, you can have up to 20 goals. And so here I can see we have goal number 4 has already had 1 active user. And so if I look at the last 30 minutes, I can see I still have only 1 goal over the last 30 minutes, and that was somebody who entered the checkout. So that's real-time reporting. In summary, it just gives you an idea of what's currently happening on your website. And so for me, ideally, if I'm launching a campaign, or let's just say you do a new website redesign and you want to see how users performing and behaving, then real time is a good option for you. So you can see how things are happening in real time. Now let's jump down to audience reporting. So if I click on audience, which is just right underneath real time, I'm going to see a number of different reports available to me under audience. And so let's click on the audience overview report. So audience reporting basically allows us to get a sense of who is coming to our website. When I say who is coming to our website, it doesn't necessarily have to be a specific person. In fact, Google doesn't allow personally identifiable information in Google Analytics. Personal identifiable information such as a specific name, social security number, credit card information, etc. However, we could still paint a nice picture on who is coming to our website, meaning what country, city, or state did they come from, what language, what device did they get to our website from, how old were they, okay, were they male or female or other, what interests did they have, what browser did they use. So we can paint a nice picture based on all this information that Google Analytics is providing us under audience. So if I go to audience overview, here I can see I have all these different options available to me to get a basic understanding of who is coming to our website. So for example, I could see a majority of the people coming to our website speak English and are from the United States. Okay, in fact, that represents 61% of the users. And so Google Analytics does a great job of giving me an overall percentage. So if I have 100% of the users, I could see 61% of those users represented English-speaking users from the United States. 7% represented English-speaking users from Great Britain. And so when it comes to analytics, we have users, and users are broken down into two categories. They're either returning or they're new. So when you add the Google Analytics tracking script to your website, what's going to happen is if a user or when a user goes to your website, they're going to get cookied. And if it's the first time they've been to your website, what Google Analytics is going to do is store a cookie in the browser. So when that same user comes back another day in the same browser, Analytics is going to recognize that that cookie is in the browser. And so then Analytics is going to categorize that user as a returning user. Okay, so that's how Analytics is able to differentiate new versus returning. So if that user doesn't have a cookie in the browser, then Analytics is going to recognize that, store the cookie, and then count that user as a new user. And so when you're looking at Analytics, you're going to be able to see a breakdown of new versus returning. So here I can see over 3/4 of my traffic over the past week. Here I can see April 6th through April 12th, over 3/4 are new users to the website. Here I could see about 24% are returning users. Okay, so I can get a good breakdown of what type of users are coming. Am I driving new traffic? Am I driving traffic that's been to my website before? What language are they speaking? Okay, I can also paint a bigger picture. How old are they? What gender are they? Do they come from mobile? So let's take a look at some of these different reports under audience. And so if I skip down now to demographics, I can click on overview, and when that report loads, I can see now under demographics overview, I can see the breakout of age ranges. And so here I can see the majority of the traffic coming to my site again over the past week. Now, if I want to change this date range, I could simply do that. I can change the date range just by clicking on the date range and then maybe going, say, the last 30 days. And I can even compare it to the previous period or the previous year. I'm going to choose the last 30 days. I'm going to click apply. Now I'm looking at data over the last 30 days. And again, you can change the date range to any range you want. You can only go back as far as when you actually created the Google Analytics account. You can't go prior to that. So here I'm looking at the last 30 days and I can see almost 47% of my users were in the age range of 25 to 34. Now, when it comes to gender, I can see 66% represent males. So I can get a breakout of gender and age as well as interest. I can click on interest and look at the overview there and see what the interest is of the users who are coming to my site based on in-market segments or affinity. I can also choose language and location. So if I want to know exactly where my users are located when they're coming to my website, I can click on location. And here I can get a breakout. 43% of the users of the last 30 days were from the United States. More importantly, I can align my audience with goals. And we'll talk about goals here in a minute, but here I can see if I have an e-commerce website, I can see of those 43%, 0.29% of those converted or purchased something. And that equates to 94 transactions. So I can get a good sense of not only how many users are coming from a specific country, but are those users converting? If I click on mobile, and mobile to me is one of those reports I tend to spend a bit of time on because I want to know what devices users are coming to my website. And so for my website here, or this is the Google demo website, I can see mobile represents approximately 27% of the traffic. So desktop still represents a majority of the traffic. So for you, you want to keep an eye on mobile because mobile is definitely a majority of what people use nowadays. That's how people start their day. That's how they transact via mobile, whether that's purchasing something, communicating, or searching. It all starts with mobile. So you want to keep an eye on mobile, and more importantly, you want to keep an eye on behavior. So Google Analytics is telling me that, yes, I have approximately 27% of my traffic of the last 30 days came from mobile. How are they interacting with my website? So if I look across this report, I'm going to be able to see different metrics. So if I'm measuring specific metrics against my dimension, in this case, the dimension is what we're measuring. And in this example, we're measuring mobile. I can see that the bounce rate is approximately 48%. And bounce rate means that if a user, in this case for mobile, landed on a page, they left the site without going any further. So they consider it a bounce. If they don't go to another page, if they leave the site from the page they landed on and they don't go any further, that's considered a bounce. So a bounce rate is the percentage of people who come to the site and leave the site without going any further. So in this case, we have 48% bounce rate. That's almost half of our users who come from mobile leave the website from the page they landed on. So is that good? Is that bad? Well, it's open to interpretation. It's definitely subjective. But you want to keep the bounce rate as low as possible. You want to keep people on your site, especially if you have an e-commerce website. You want people who come to your website to purchase. And so here we can see 48% mobile. In desktop, it's a little bit lower at 41%. Now, if I look a little bit further at engagement, I can see how many pages on average do mobile users look at. So versus desktop, it's a little bit lower. You can see 3.86. On desktop, it's 4.5. Now, if I look a little bit further in engagement, I want to be able to measure how long somebody from mobile stays on the website. If they're bouncing at 48%, but they're also looking at 3.8 pages, 3.9, almost 4 pages per session, then that means in this report, analytics is telling me they're spending about 2 minutes on the site. And interestingly enough, I can see that mobile over the last 30 days had more transactions. So 51 transactions versus 34 transactions from desktop. And interestingly enough, the e-commerce conversion rate is at 0.29%. That's higher than desktop at 0.07. It's lower than tablet, but it's higher than desktop. And mobile has the most transactions. And since they have the most transactions, they have the most revenue at 2,380. So yes, the engagement isn't exactly as great as it is as desktop, but we can see that people are still purchasing with their mobile devices. So it's something to keep an eye on, and mobile is something I definitely look at. In fact, since it's such an important report, one thing you can do in analytics is if you actually like a report and you think you're going to look at that report multiple times, then you can simply just go ahead and click save at the top here. So if I click save, I'm going to enter a name for this report. I'm just going to call it mobile report and click OK. And then what's going to happen is it's going to be located under save reports, and save reports is located under customization. Customization is located above real time. Okay, so if I close that up, you can see audience real-time customization. If I click on customization, if I click on save reports, I should be able to see my save report here, and I do. So here I can see mobile report. If I click on it, I can simply go to the report I was looking at before I saved it. So save reports to me is a good feature in analytics because it allows you to quickly access a report that you've saved in the past. So let's take a look at one more report under audience. And let's go to benchmarking. So remember when we were setting up our analytics account, we had the option to opt into benchmarking, and I recommended you do so. And so if you did actually opt into benchmarking, then you're going to be able to see how your site compares to others in the same industry. So if I click on benchmarking and then click on channels, what I'm actually able to do now is compare my website with others in the same industry. So if I go back to, say, jobs and education, and I choose education, all education as my industry vertical, I should be able to see websites that are in the same particular industry and how I compare with those websites. So I'm choosing all countries. I can narrow that down if I wanted to. I can just search for the United States. I can choose a specific state, and then I can choose a particular site size. So here I'm choosing sites by daily session. So these are sites that have an average of 5,000 to almost 10,000 sessions a day. And so in this vertical education in the United States, sites that have 5,000 to 9,999 sessions per day, that means that there are approximately 310 web properties contributing to this report, okay, based on this criteria I chose. Now, if my site is similar, meaning if I'm in the United States, if I'm in education, and I'm receiving 5,000 to 9,999 sessions per day, then I'm able to compare my site against 310 other websites. Now, Google's sharing this data anonymously from the other websites, and they're doing the same with your website to those particular websites' benchmarking reports. Okay, so it's shared data anonymously in particular industries and verticals. And so now I'm looking at a channel report. So if I want to see how I compare to others in my industry, then I can go ahead and see by channel, for example, am I driving as much traffic as others in my industry? And you can see I'm not. In fact, I'm 76, 77% worse in terms of the amount of traffic being driven from organic search. So anything in red is going to show as a negative result, a negative comparison, whereas something in green is a positive comparison. So if I look at engagement, I can see that I might not be driving as much traffic, but I can see that the pages per session are better than the site average or the industry average. I can see if I go over again, looking just at organic search, I can see the bounce rate is better than the industry average. So the channel report under benchmarking allows you to measure how you compare to others in your industry. And you could do so by looking at location and devices. So if you opted into benchmarking when you set up your account, then you'll be able to compare your website against others in your industry, in your country, region, and based on the size of your website in terms of how many visitors or sessions you're getting per day. So let's go from audience to acquisition. So if audience is who is coming to your website, acquisition allows us to see how the traffic was driven to your website. So how did these users get to our website? And so under acquisition, if we click on overview, we'll be able to see an overview of how users, whether they're returning or new, came to our website. And so what analytics does by default is they have a number of default channels. And when we say channels, we mean analytics is grouping different channels based on how users got to your website. Meaning, how did users get to our website? Did they come via organic search? Meaning, did they type something into Google and find you in the organic listing? Analytics also groups users based on whether they came to your site directly, meaning did they type in the URL directly into the browser, or did they bookmark your website and come back via the bookmark? So they're grouping users under direct. They also group users under referral, meaning did they come from another website? They group users by social. Did they come from a social media platform like Twitter or Facebook? If you're running paid search, Meaning if you're running paid search on, say, Google, then do they come from paid search ads? Now, if you're running display ads on, say, Google's network, Google's display network, that's a default channel. So analytics will group users there. So if they don't recognize a channel, then they're going to group it as others. So by default, Google Analytics groups users on how they came to your website via these default channels. And so I could see how many users came to the site from each channel. Now, if I want to drill down on this report, I can click on all traffic. And then if I click on all traffic, I can go to channels. I can look specifically at the channels report. And so now I can see organic search. Again, over the last 30 days is the #1 channel driving traffic. And they represent approximately, again, you can see this number here in parentheses next to the raw number of users. I can see that number is about 56%. So 56% of my traffic over the last 30 days came from organic search. And so those are the number of users. Again, as a metric, you're also going to have sessions. And you'll see sessions a lot as a metric. So users are broken down between new and returning. So every time a new or returning user comes to the website, basically what they're doing is initiating a session. So you can have a user who can come back multiple times. Every time they come back to the website, it's a session. So session is simply the start of somebody coming to your website, and the session ends when they leave the website. And so just like we looked at with the audience reports when it came to mobile, we can also look at engagement by channel. So just like mobile, we looked at bounce rate, pages per session, average session duration. We can do the same thing here with our channel report. More importantly, in addition to behavior, we can see conversions. And since we're running an e-commerce platform, we could see what the conversion rate is by channel. So organic search did drive the most traffic, and they did have the most transactions over the last 30 days. And the conversion rate in this case is 0.17. Okay, so how Google determines the conversion rate, they basically take the number of transactions and divide that by sessions. So that means that over the last 30 days, organic search drove 38,123 sessions. And of those 38,123, 64 actually turned into a transaction, which equates to 0.17, which also equates to $3,000 in revenue. So I'm able to determine not only how users are getting to my website by looking at the channel report, I can actually see if they're engaging and if they are converting. And notice when you look at a report in analytics, you can look at it by channel. You'll also get a summary. So here I can see a summary or a total based on my date range. So I can see over the last 30 days, I've had 54,000 users. 49,000 of them were new. Okay, that meant that out of those 54,000 users, I had 70,000 sessions. I could see my average bounce rate was 43%. The pages per session were just over 4. And the average session duration, how long did somebody stay on my website on average? About 2 minutes and 55 seconds. The average conversion rate was 0.14, and I had a total of 97 transactions totaling $5,500. Okay, and that's all over the last 30 days. So any report you look at in analytics is going to have a summary. And note that any report you look at in analytics is going to allow you to save it. So if it's a report you think you're going to go back and look at a future date, then you simply just have to click on the save button. Conversely, if you don't want to save it, you can simply just export it. So you can export it as a PDF. If I click on PDF, it's going to allow me to export that as a PDF. Now you have other options available to you as well. You can do a Google Sheet. You can export it as an Excel, or you can export it as a comma delimited file. So here you can see I can save it as a PDF if I want to. And if I click OK, it's going to save to my desktop or a location of my choosing. And then I can go back and look at it in that format at a later time. So that's the export feature available to you in analytics. Again, if you could save it as well, or you can export it. Okay, some other reports under acquisition. If you're running Google Ads, note that you can connect Google Ads to analytics. And this is key because now I can see how many people are coming from Google Ads to my website and are they converting. Now this is important because with Google Ads, I'm actually paying for the click. So you can see here, I'm running a report based on campaign data. So I could see what campaigns are driving traffic, how much I'm paying per click, and you can see on average I'm paying 34 cents per click. And then more importantly, I want to be able to see if they're converting. So you can see I've spent $810 over the last 30 days and received $858 in revenue. So you want to make sure that you link up your Google Ads account to your Google Analytics account. For this very reason, you want to be able to see how your Google Ads campaigns perform once the users get to your website. And so I want to see if they're engaging and I want to see if they're converting. So there are all sorts of reports under Google Ads. So you can look at it by keywords, by search queries, by hour of the day. If you're running display campaigns, you can look at display targeting. So there's all sorts of reports under Google Ads. You just have to link it up, and you link it up under the admin. Now, there are other reports that you can look at. So if I go to campaigns, I can look at all campaigns. So if you're running all sorts of different types of campaigns, whether that be on Facebook, whether that be email, whether that be, other types of advertising, let's just say Twitter or Instagram, you're going to be able to see those campaigns here. And that's under all campaigns. And again, you'll be able to see the campaign name and you'll be able to see metrics associated with those campaigns. And more importantly, you'll be able to see your e-commerce if you're running an e-commerce platform or if you have goals set up. So you'll be able to look at how your campaigns are not only driving traffic, but two, are they converting? Let's go from acquisition reporting to behavior. So behavior reports are going to actually show you how users behaved once they got to your website. Once they landed on a page on your website, how did they behave? So when we looked at audience, we got a sense of who is coming. With acquisition, we get a sense of how the traffic got to our website. Did they come from organic, direct, social, etc.? The behavior reports allow us to actually measure how that traffic behaved once they landed on a page on our website. And so if I go to overview under behavior, now I'm looking at this graph here. It's showing me how many page views I've had. And a page view is simply, once a page is viewed, it's counted as a page view. So if a user comes to my site, they're initiating a session. And if they look at a page, then that page is going to have a page view. Okay, so a user can look at a page multiple times in a session. And every time they look at that page, it's going to count as a page view. So here I can see in this graph how many page views I've had, again, over the last 30 days. And if I look further at my overview report, I can see the specific pages and how many page views they've had. And I can also look at some other metrics. Okay, the average bounce rate, the average time on page. I can look at the exit rate, which means how many people actually exited, or the percentage of people who exited from that page. So I can dig deeper into my behavior reporting. So if I click on site content and I click on all pages, then I'm going to look at a report by page. This is my dimension. This is what I'm measuring, my page. And now I can see how many page views each page had over the last 30 days. Now note, you also have something called unique page views. So unique page views is equivalent to one per session. In other words, if a user came to my site and looked at the home page, then the home page is going to have one unique page view and one page view. Now, if the user in that same session looks at other pages, then every page that user looks at is going to have one unique page view. However, if the user goes back to the same page in the same session, then it's still going to be one unique page view. But in this case, the home page, if they look at the home page a second time, then the home page is going to have 2 page views. If they look at the home page 5 times in one session, then the home page is going to have 5 total page views and 1 unique page view. Okay, so that's why unique pages is equivalent to 1 per session, where page views is an accumulation of how many times the page was viewed in the same session. So in other words, you're always going to have more page views than unique page views. Okay, so this gives me a sense of how my pages performed. So again, I can look at total page views and then engagement. So ideally what you want to do with a report like this is if a user is not engaging on the page, then that should tell you something about the page itself. If they're not engaging, if the bounce rate's high, if the time on page is low, if the percentage of exit rate is high, then you probably want to do something with that page. Now, these are all pages, but if I jump down to landing pages, my landing page report is showing me how many people actually landed on that page. And so here I can see under my landing page report, I can see the home page had 36,017 sessions in the last 30 days. That's how many people landed on the home page. So here I can see 71% were new sessions, meaning that I had a lot of new users who landed on the homepage. In fact, 25,000 or 52% of the people who landed on the homepage were new. I could see the bounce rates about 42%, but of those who didn't bounce, they went on to look at about 4.5 pages per session and spent about 3 minutes on the site. And the one thing I like about the landing page report is I can also see whether that particular page, in this case, the home page, did it help contribute to a goal or conversion. And in this case, I can see of those 36,000 sessions, I had 22 transactions, totaling $1,200 in revenue, and that's an e-commerce conversion rate of 0.06%. So the home page over the last 30 days contributed to 0.06% of the revenue. So this gives you an idea of when somebody lands on your website and they land on a page, is that page helping to move that person along? Meaning, are they not bouncing? And is that page helping to move people towards converting? And so that's what the landing page in effect allows us to measure, is the engagement. And in this case, we're measuring transactions. Okay, so analytics also gives us some other reports under behavior, including site speed. So site speed to me is an important report to look at, just like the mobile report. To me, site speed's important because what Google Analytics does is they take a sampling of pages. And in this case, you can see over the last 30 days, they sampled 2,835 page views. And of that sample, they came back and said the average page load time is about 4 seconds. Now, ideally, you want to keep it as quick as possible. I would say even under 3 seconds. Okay, now there are other factors involved with page load time. The browser you're using, the country that you're actually browsing that page from might not have the best infrastructure. You may not even be on the best internet network, meaning you're on a cell network or the Wi-Fi is not that great. Or you can be on a page that just has a lot of images or a lot of code that may slow it down. So there are other factors involved. And so what Google Analytics does is show you what those factors are. So here I can see by browser what the average load time is. If I want to look at country, I could see what country is contributing to the load time. Now, the great thing about the site speed report is if I go to speed suggestions, okay, what speed suggestions is going to do is it's going to show me the page load time by page. And then it's actually going to provide a link where I can actually click on to get suggestions on increasing the page load time. So for example, I can look at this particular page here. This Google redesign shop by brand / YouTube page. Line number 5. If I look at line number 5, I can see the average load time of this page is 8 seconds, almost 9 seconds. Okay, that's an eternity to some people. Now, notice this link next to it. So Google's recommending 7 total suggestions. So if I click on 7 total, what it's actually going to do, it's going to open up a new window, and it's going to open up another Google report called PageSpeed Insights. And PageSpeed Insights is going to give me some information about what I can do to correct the page load of that particular page. So look at the site speed report. It's important because there is a correlation between site speed or page load time and user behavior of that page. And there's also a correlation between page load time and a page ranking organically on search. So page load time is very important. It's so important that I'm even going to save it. So I'm going to click save and click on site speed suggestions as my name and click OK. And now that report is going to be saved under customization under save reports. Let's jump from behavior to conversions. Now, conversion reporting is arguably the most important section in Google Analytics, because what the conversions reporting allows us to do is see how people are converting, or if they're not converting, on our website. And so in Google Analytics, we have the opportunity to set up goals. Now you have the opportunity to set up 20 goals in your Google Analytics view. And so to set up a goal, okay, so you're going to click on admin, and under the view, you're going to see goals. And so if you don't even have goals, the first step is to create goals. And so you have 4 different goal types in analytics. So you have pages per session. So how many pages per session is, so if your goal is set to say 3 or 2, if somebody actually looked at 2 or 3 pages per session, it's going to count as a goal. Okay, so if I look here, I can see I have pages per session set at 10. So that means that if a user came to the site, looked at more than 10 pages per session, then it's going to count as a goal. Another goal type is destination. So destination means that if somebody actually went to a specific page, then it's going to count as a goal. And in this case, I can see here that the goal is set to this particular page here. And so when somebody actually lands on that page, it's going to count as a goal. Now there are 2 other goal types we can look at. One is duration. So just like pages per session, in our previous example, if somebody looked at 10 pages per session, it's going to count as a goal. With duration, it's based on time. So in this particular case, if you set up a duration goal, and the duration is set to say 1 minute and 30 seconds, then that means if a user comes to my website and they spend at least 1 minute and 30 seconds, then it's going to count as a goal. Okay, and then the 4th type of goal in Google Analytics is an event-based goal. So when you set up event tracking, you could turn that event into a goal. So if somebody clicks on, say, the submit button of a form, you can turn that event into a goal. So here you could see the category equals contact form. So you can always verify if a goal works just by clicking on verify this goal. And in this case, this event is turned into a goal. So anytime somebody fires this event, it's going to count as a goal. So you have 4 different goal types in Google Analytics. You have pages per session, destination, event, and duration. And so once you've set up a goal, then you can measure goals under conversions. So now if I look at goals overview, I can be able to see how many total goal completions I've had. So if I want to look at it by goal, I can just choose the goal option here. So if I want to look at, for example, goal 2, engaged users, this was the pages per session, I can see that I had a conversion rate of 10%, meaning that I had 7,000 of all the users who came to the website, 7,000 goal completions, meaning 7,106 users looked at 10 pages or more on my website. And so that's how you want to be able to measure whether users, wherever they're coming from, whoever they are, whatever pages they look at, you want to be able to look at the conversion reports to see if they're actually converting based on the goals you've set up, whether that's pages per session, duration, destination, or event. Goal conversion tracking reports can help you measure who is actually converting. And then the great thing about Google Analytics here is that I can actually see by segment. So the default segment in a segment is just looking at a specific user set. So the default segment is always all users. However, I can choose a different segment. So if I want to choose, instead of all users, if I want to choose mobile traffic, I can select mobile traffic, hit apply. So I'm actually now looking at a subset of data. I'm looking at mobile traffic. So if all the mobile users who've come to my site, I can see 1,400 engaged or looked at 10 pages or more. Okay, and that's a 7% conversion rate. So the great thing about Google Analytics is you have the opportunity to set up 4 different goal types. Okay, based on those goal types, you can go to Goals Overview and look at the conversion rate of each goal, but you can also change the segment of that particular goal to see who exactly converted. Okay, another report I like under conversions is the multi-channel funnel report. So if I click on multi-channel funnel, basically what this allows me to do is see how different channels work together to convert. So remember the channel reporting we looked at under acquisition? Here I can see now how different channels work together to drive the conversion. So if I look at 3 channels, direct, organic, and referral, I can see all 3 together drive 2% of the conversions. If I look at direct and referral, 12.5%. If I look at direct and organic, 12.24%. So I can see how different channels work together. And so if I look at top conversion paths as an example, I can actually see how channels work together to drive the conversion. So in this example, I can see over the last 30 days that my top channel grouping was direct times 2, meaning that somebody came to the website directly, meaning they typed in the URL in the browser, or they bookmarked it and came to the site. Okay, they came the first time but didn't convert. But then they came back a second time via direct and then converted. So that